Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. It is a live Q&A, and it's myself and Ash as well with me, and we're fresh off Wimbledon 2024. Literally just less than it'll be about 24 hours since we were at the All England Tennis Club, and just walked out of Carlos Alcaraz's presser, and yeah, well, now we're here with you guys. So I'm pretty surreal. But how you doing, Ash?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
Good. And how you feeling? How's it feel to be back in normal life?
Back to normality, yeah. Strange, to be honest. Yeah, back at the desk for however many hours. Yeah, already missing the media lifestyle. I don't know about you, but yeah, very different.
Yeah, exactly. I think we were definitely spoiled a bit, and yeah, I mean it was very surreal in all honesty, the experience. So yeah, I think it'll take some time for us to process it, but hopefully this will help. And yeah, I mean, as you say, we'll definitely miss it, no doubt. And it comes once a year. Matthew, hey, how you doing? How's the experience? He says, and do you guys have full access to all of Wimbledon? So yeah, I mean, I'll come to Ash in a second. He can talk about his experience. So Ash did the media weekend. So the weekend just before the tournament starts. So after qualifiers, of course, but just before the main draw starts. And so he managed to talk to a lot of the big players, of course. And you could talk to them about bits that aren't just tennis as well, because they haven't played any matches yet at Wimbledon going into it. And then he also did the finals weekend. For me, I did all of qualifying, the whole qualifying week, plus I did the Sunday, the first Sunday of Wimbledon, all the way to the finals. So we had a couple of people that I'll shout out as well who did some work in the first week: Venu and Liam, Flo, and also Ash H as well. So they did some bits that first week, and Liam did some bits with me second week as well. So, which was really great. But yeah, it was fantastic. So in terms of full access, we pretty much got access to all of the matches, to be honest. So we had to request it. So we had audio rights, but actually I'll let you guys know how it works, right? And hopefully I'm not boring you guys. If I am, let me know in the comment section. But what we have is we had an audio accreditation. So that's why for some of the podcasts, for example, and even the clips of the presses, I had pictures with auto captions and then obviously the audio, but we weren't allowed to use the video, right? And what that meant is, yeah, we had the audio, but also because we're not a BBC or a Sky or Eurosport, ESPN, we weren't rights holders, so we had restricted rights. But what was great is we didn't have allocated seating on Centre Court, Court 1, etc. But we could go and request wristbands. So whatever was left over, we'd get. And more often than not, I mean, the only match, and obviously Ash wasn't there as long as me, but the only match that I didn't manage to get on to watch, that I wanted to watch, was the men's final. That's the only match. I watched the women's final in the stadium. I watched Alcaraz Medvedev, and Liam watched Djokovic as well. He watched Djokovic. Who was he playing against? Massetti in the stadium, the commentary box as well. And then the media seating, generally, we watched everything in them. And the media seating was fantastic. Like just off center, behind, where the behind the baseline, and pretty close as well. Like it was fantastic seating. So yeah, we managed to watch a lot of tennis, and obviously we had to coordinate with all the presses going on. So especially like when I was at qualifying, I mean qualifying was a lot easier. You had access to everything because like you're walking around and you're seeing everything. But still, when I was doing qualifying, I had to look out because there wasn't a like digital. So actually, you won't know this, but at qualifying there wasn't like a text notification or anything. So once the match finished, I had to go up to the media tent, ask them, and say like, "What's going on?" or wait there. Then they tell me, "Okay, this is when they're coming." And after the first few days of doing that, it was absolute carnage, and I almost missed interviewing Schwartzman because they said he was going to come at like 11:45, and he came at like 11:35, and I saw that he was walking towards the media tent, and I was all the way on the other side, so I like was running up to try and make sure we'd already started. So that was a bit frustrating. But after the first couple of days, they changed that at qualifying, which was really good. They just created a WhatsApp group and they messaged in there, like when people were coming, kind of similar to what we had at Wimbledon, which Ash will know, where we could sign up as many numbers as we want, phone numbers and emails, and we could select the ones that we wanted to get notifications about. So all of the main ones. I mean, it was only, to be fair, the media theatre and the room 2, which are the two main media conference rooms that we get alerts for. But I guess they're the main ones, so better than nothing. So qualifying was, like running around a lot. I didn't watch full matches at all at qualifying because there's a lot going on, and I'm sure the guys who did week 1 especially didn't. And same for me on the first Sunday. I didn't watch like whole matches, but I could watch as many as I wanted. And also for the second week, though, obviously we managed to watch full matches because, like, me and Ash, we managed to watch the full women's final, which is fantastic, right? Because there weren't any presses going on, so we didn't have to juggle that. So that was really good. And in terms of the in terms of the access, I mean, it was great. Like, we were walking past, so we had access to all of the media bits, everything. So we had, like, John McEnroe was walking past. You had, everyone, like even Alcaraz, for example, when Alcaraz won, right? We were in the presser with him. Then after, he was on the balcony, like could have gone. We were right there with him. He was doing private interviews with whoever, ESPN, etc. And then when he had to leave, we had to leave as well at the same time to go and do something. So me and Ash were walking down the stairs with him and his team. Like, it was really weird to go and like drop off like our press desk key and bits. It was so like, at that point it didn't seem surreal, but now when you talk about it, it seems weird, right? And he walked out. And like, the security guards came, Vamos. He was in a rush to go and watch the football, of course. And if you're an England fan, that might be a bit of a might be a bit surreal moment. But yeah, on the balcony, everyone. I mean, anyone you can think of, right? So was there. Like, there was Mako and Navratilova walked past us. We had Kyrgios as well, because you get access to not only the matches and the media and everything, but you also get access to the practice courts. So like me and Ash, we watched, and Liam and everyone else, I watched Djokovic practice. I've got videos, we're not allowed to upload them. That's the only thing. So we were recording stuff and also like taking pictures, but we couldn't upload it onto the channel, which is a bit frustrating, obviously, because it would have done great views. And also it would have been not just that, it would have been great to show you guys it, but we didn't have that access. We're not a BBC or an ESPN, etc. But I recorded some of the Djokovic TFO practice set. That was really cool. That was before Wimbledon started. We watched Djokovic practice during as well. We watched Djokovic practice just before the final. We watched Alcaraz practice just before the final, and the day before that, Medvedev, and me and Ash both got selfies with Alcaraz, which I was going to post as the thumbnail for this, but I didn't want to get in trouble. So Liam got a selfie with Alcaraz. And then I was watching one of the women's semi-finals because if there were two of us on most days, and so we only tend to be able to watch one match at a time. Then me and Ash got lucky and watched the women's final together. I mean, I don't know how that happened because it's such an in-demand match, but it just worked out that way. And so, like, Liam was watching, keeping an eye on the women's final, but he was on the practice courts, and Djokovic was training, so he managed to get himself with Djokovic as well, and Paolini, which was really cool. And he got one with Kyrgios, but his eyes were closed. I don't think it counts, to be honest. He looked a bit high, but he wasn't. But yeah, so he watched Kyrgios and Djokovic practice as well, which was really cool. So yeah, I mean, we'll get through the questions. Otherwise, I could talk about it forever. But Ash, quickly, what was your experience and of the media weekend, like briefly, and also the finals weekend as well?
Yeah, I mean, media weekend was really interesting because there was no one else there pretty much other than players, friends and family, and media. So yeah, it felt quite surreal being able to just walk around the grounds and it not be packed with people. It was really, really good watching practice. I watched Medvedev, Sinner, Djokovic, Rune, and Rublev with Felix and Emma as well. So there was all sorts going on at the practice courts at the time. Flo and I went to watch that. That was really cool. I think it was interesting kind of watching Medvedev and Sinner. I thought Medvedev looked really good at the time, and it was interesting to see how he went on to go quite deep at Wimbledon, which doesn't
And beat him. And beat
usually
Sinner,
do.
right?
Yeah, and beat it. Exactly. Which was big surprise for a lot of people. But yeah, they played some really kind of fun points as well, which was cool. So media weekend was great. Got to attend loads of press conferences pre-tournament and kind of ask players how they're feeling going into the tournament, and also stuff about kind of more like off-court stuff, because as you said, they weren't necessarily, the tournament hadn't started yet, so didn't have to be all tennis. And then I went for the finals weekend, which was amazing. I mean, being able to watch the women's final from firstly in the commentary box and then unbelievable seats was crazy. Never gonna forget that. And then men's final day was really good as well. Obviously didn't get to watch the match, but was still really fun. Attended both press conferences, managed to sit next to you as you got the first question in for Djokovic, which is that'll be my claim to fame, I guess. So that was cool. And just even watching it with
Well, no, but Ash, you got one to Krejcikova, right? The Wimbledon champion.
Yeah, true.
Yeah,
That would be my claim to fame. The last question, so just snuck it in, which was very cool. But yeah, overall amazing experience. Like as good as you could imagine it being, and even better.
Yeah, it really was. Aaron Gan question: did he boo Djokovic? No, we didn't. We we didn't boo Djokovic. And look, I mean, I'll be quite transparent with you guys because me and Ash, we were watching the final with some of the Wimbledon media, right? And obviously, I'm not going to name names and stuff, but the general consensus, and I don't know whether it was because of what happened after the Runa match, and in the presses, he's fine, right? I asked him, he seemed perfectly good, he gives really good answers. I don't know him personally. I can only go off what I've seen, and from what I've seen, he seems okay. I mean, the only thing I'd say is he rocked up late to every presser and every practice, but then a lot of the players, to be fair, are quite late anyway on the presses, and it's a bit frustrating because if you're in the first week or towards the end of the first week or even at the start of the second week, there's other matches you could be watching, and when it gets pushed back, the presses constantly. So, like for example, Djokovic one time, I think he was at like 8:30, and then it got pushed to 8:45. Then it was 9, and then no, sorry, it was supposed to be. I think it was like 9:15. Then it was 9:30, 9:45. And by the time we ended up doing it, it was like past 10, and it was like, okay, that was a bit frustrating. So when you're trying to juggle things, like we were trying to fit in a podcast as well, we were trying to obviously make sure we attended all the press conferences and try and watch as much tennis as we could, so that we could, be in an informed position to ask questions as well, and obviously, enjoy it as well to a degree. But we're there as media, so the most important thing is to be informed. But yeah, I mean, look, we didn't boo him. Obviously, he thought he got booed in the Runa one. I was in the stadium. I didn't think he had got booed. I thought they were saying Runa, and I think a lot of them were, but maybe there was a section that were booing him. And one of my favorite moments when I said it in the podcast was actually I was in the stadium when he went, "Have a good night." And to be fair, like, whether you like him or hate him for saying it, and whether he was being a pantomime villain, I don't think it matters because it was an iconic moment, And if he went on to win Wimbledon, it would have been even more iconic because he could have said that at the end or something. It would have been so funny. But yeah, I mean, he obviously was having a bit of issues anyway with I think the knee recovery, etc. And it'd been a pretty stressful few weeks for him, and he was just like, "Look, if I think someone's booing me, then I'm not going to take it." And he clearly just wasn't happy. So yeah, but I didn't hear it myself. But at the same time, I wasn't when I was watching that match. I wasn't super like court side for that one. So maybe he was. But no, I mean, look, I think the other thing is a lot of the staff, they love Alcaraz, like they absolutely
Yeah,
love him, and he tends to spend a lot of time with people, and so it's not obligatory for the champion, but whoever wins on the men's side, I assume it's for the women's as well. on the Monday, so today, it depends on who wins. They'll take a picture with like the media workers, so not us, but like who are actually working for Wimbledon. And apparently, Alcaraz did it last year, so I'm going to assume that he did it this year. Apparently, Djokovic has never done it. Now, that's not to say he's not a good person. He probably just wants to go home or whatever. But so I think Alcaraz just does that little bit extra where people like the staff, etc., they really appreciate it. And I saw him taking lots of selfies with the workers and etc. And obviously he took a selfie with both of us. I think Djokovic would have been fine. I think Liam will tell you he was fine because he took a selfie with Liam. He was smiling. He seemed all good. And when I watched him practice with TFO before the tournament started, he was like making cracking jokes and seemed really relaxed. So yeah, I mean, look, we don't know him personally, so it's difficult and it's a high pressure situation. It's it is his job at the end of the day, so you can have good and bad days. But I think he is who he is, right? And you either love him or maybe don't hate him, but maybe he's just not your cup of tea. But look, fantastic player, and he was great to watch, especially train. We watched him the morning before the final practice with two English guys, and it was great to have insight because we were watching him practice coming to the net. Basically just training himself to hit, serve, volley, serve, forehand, come to the net, drop shots. Like he was training in these different patterns, and I said to Ash, like, he's going to do this in the match. And Ash was like, yeah, I think he will. And then obviously tried it in the match. It didn't work. But it was great to see someone actually train that just before and then try and actually go and utilize it. And, he's obviously a great player. And it was fantastic to see him. But, yeah. And, yeah, so Liam said Djokovic was a super nice guy after his semi-finals press. I was the only person left in the media centre. And he walked past me and smiled, said hi without any reason to do so. Oh, there you go. See, I mean, so that's the thing, right? Like, yeah.
Also, the quality of his answers were really, really high.
The quality of his answers were, fantastic, right? Really thoughtful, and he's clearly an incredibly intelligent person. We were saying, obviously, and he's been in the game a long time, but his English as well is fantastic, right? And he speaks multiple different languages. So, he cracked up when Obaldo asked him a question. That was quite funny because he was like, "Not too bad." I could tell that's what he was thinking when he asked him the question. But Peter says, "Afternoon for Silent Nash. Did you guys attend the matches?" Yeah, so hopefully I answered that question. But yeah, we attended pretty much every single one that we wanted to, and obviously some we would have missed or some parts we would have missed if we were attending presses. But look, I mean, Wimbledon were really good, and like I had a really good working relationship with the people who were working in the broadcast team there. And generally everyone, to be honest, everyone was really nice. And given it was our first championships, I think the access and the exposure we got was fantastic. So definitely something that hopefully you guys enjoyed because we got we didn't just attend presses, but we got some exclusive interviews with people. We got an interview with Vekic 1-to-1 in the end. Liam did it. We got one with Runa as well, which again I think that was Liam as well. Ash got Kalinskaya, which I didn't end up uploading because I'll talk about that later, but you guys can ask me about that. The Kalinskaya situation was very interesting. In qualies, I got Schwartzman, Gasquet 1-to-1s plus Pericard. I did twice. Got volley nets as well. Who was obviously the number one seed in qualifying. She did pretty well. Was really close against Krejcikova, who ended up winning it. And I think that was a final set tiebreaker actually against Krejcikova. No, sorry, it was 6-4, 7-6. It was close, so it was two tight sets. But yeah, I mean, it was surreal, and I'm sure I've missed lots of other players because we definitely had more 1-to-1s than that. But yeah, it was a great experience, definitely. Liam, what was your favorite food? The pasta, pizza, or the strawberries? Go on, Ash, you can go first.
Good question. Pasta, I think, because that was just like the kind of customizability of that was unreal, and the pasta guys were really friendly. But yeah, strawberries as well. We went to Flo and I went to the media dinner on the Saturday before the tournament, and they just had like buckets of strawberries basically. So yeah, we filled our boots at that dinner. That was really cool as well. So yeah, the food at Wimbledon is good.
Yeah, it's really good. And the only thing, so what was my favorite food? The pasta, pizza, strawberries. So strawberries in qualies, the strawberries are unreal. By the way, I didn't didn't miss the spot once. At Wimbledon, I think I was like 6 out of 8, so it was like pretty good. But yeah, the pasta was pretty good. Although me and Ash ended up eating it with a spoon after the first couple of days, and Liam will know as well. So, but the pasta was renowned for being a bit like, so it's fresh pasta, like fresh ingredients, really good. But the sauce, like because they're trying to cook it quickly and get through, like like especially with like a tomato sauce, it just wasn't cooked like through, so it was a bit not watery, but like soupy. So ended up like using a spoon for sometimes for the pasta, but it was nice. But I think the pizza was probably the best. I reckon.
That was good.
Yeah, it was fresh as well. Like it looked like it'd come out of a oven, baked stone oven. It was cool. Did you guys rub shoulders with Billie Jean King, Sue Barker, and Tom Cruise? Who was the biggest star you saw, tennis or otherwise? So I didn't see any. I didn't walk past those guys. I rubbed shoulders. So Andre Agassi, McEnroe. Oh, who else? I mean, Leighton Hewitt was like literally standing on the balcony next to me and Liam. I mean, Ash Barty's husband and his son were next to me because we were watching her play invitational doubles because the media balcony overlooks court 18 and all the other outside courts. So they were playing there, and I was talking to Ash Barty's husband and like asking him, saying, "Oh, your son's really cute." So Ash was there as well, and I was like, just obviously didn't talk to him too much because I didn't want to bother him, but yeah, he seemed good. And yeah, I mean, who else? I mean, there were loads of. I mean, there's so many. Tim Herman obviously will pass, like loads. All the presenters you can think of in tennis were there, right? So the tennis podcast guys were there. They had a bench on the media balcony. We also had. I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to think. There's people that obviously I've missed. Navratilova obviously was there as well. She walked past us as well. I mean, everyone. Oh, there was a funny moment which Ash will know. On the last day, Juan Carlos Ferrero, what they'd just finished warming up, and he was walking up the stairs, and I was walking down the stairs, and we had this awkward moment where like he was kind of walking on one side and I was walking on the same side, and then we kind of tried to switch, and then it was like, okay, which way do we go? And I was like, oh, sorry, and he kind of looked at me like, what's going on? That was a bit awkward, but so yeah, I mean, everyone, to be honest, I would say the most nerve-wracking moment for me in the whole tournament experience was actually so in the so the post-match press conference for Djokovic after he'd beaten Rune, I got the first question for him, and I hadn't asked him a question before, and I think it would have been my second day on the main site, and the first question came to me, and I'm not joking. I was already pretty nervous, and generally speaking, with most of the players, perfectly fine. But with him, I think it's just because 24 slams, like just the guy is just a legend, right? I mean, it doesn't get any bigger than him in tennis. It doesn't. Let's be honest. And I looked at him, and I think maybe the only other player I might have had that feeling with was Nadal. I think Federer's generally quite cool, so I feel like it would have been okay, even though he's obviously a legend. But yeah, so Djokovic looked at me, and the funniest thing is the reason my heart was beating out of my chest. Honestly, like I could just feel it. Like when you could just you're that nervous, like you can hear the own sound of your heartbeat. Like that's what it was like. And she asked me, like the mediator, like, oh yeah, Fazan, and I was like, hi Novak, Fazan from QualityShot, and he turned and looked at me, and he'd obviously never seen me before, and he kind of like squinted like this to see like, oh, who's that? And then he just was like looking into my soul, and I was like, okay, this is interesting. And I don't remember I don't remember how I asked the question, whether I stumbled. I watched it back and heard it back, and it sounded fine. But I remember thinking that must have been so nervous the way I said that. But that was really for me the moment where I was like, "Whoa, okay, this is big." But I don't know. What about you, Ash? I mean, who did you bump into potentially at a media weekend and also the finals? Like, I'm sure I've missed some people as well from when we were there. But who was the biggest non-tennis or tennis person that you came across or
trying to
interviewed?
think. I don't know if I think. I don't know if I definitely can't one up you. You mentioned Navratilova. I attended a special press conference with her and Chris Evert during the media weekend, and it was the most engaging thing I've listened to in relation to tennis in years. I was hooked. I forgot there was a press conference and you could ask questions. To be fair, they maybe only got asked like a couple questions because the rest of it was just them just chatting between each other with this small, really intimate audience. And it was just fascinating, the kind of insight into their rivalry. I mean, it was obviously a long time before I was born when they played. So I wasn't really that familiar with them, other than seeing like Navratilova on kind of in tennis media over the years. But they were super engaging and kind of went into deep depth about their rivalry, their subsequent friendship. It was really interesting to hear about how they played doubles together and they had to break up because they were kind of knew each other's games too well. Obviously, both unfortunately had cancer as well, so they kind of opened up about that. Just the most amazing kind of conversation I've heard in a long time. That was fascinating. So that was a real kind of core memory for me, I think, from the time I was at Wimbledon. In terms of other people I bumped into, I mean, it was mainly tennis players. It was kind of weird. It was like I'd see on social media after X celebrity was here. I was like, oh damn, I can't believe I missed them.
Yeah.
Because obviously
do you know who was there actually? And she's not, I don't know if she counts as a celebrity, but I told my wife that, and she's a big Britain's Got Talent fan. But if you're from the UK, Amanda Holden was like,
oh yeah,
after Djokovic Runa match, she was in front of me and must have been with, I don't know, a daughter or something. And one of the Wimbledon workers, he was just like security, asked her for a signature, like so old school. And but she was like, yeah, it's fine, it's fine. And as soon as she kind of went out into the open, she put sunglasses on. But that was a bit like, oh, okay, fair enough. Like, just random people here. But yeah, I mean, I think actually the most surreal thing was the first time that I was at Orangi, so the practice courts, because I was watching, I was saying to you guys, like I was watching Djokovic TFO, and then Alcaraz walked past me, Rybakina walked past me, then Casper Ruud was there, Berrettini was next to them, Sabalenka was warming up, Jabeur was warming up, all the big players, Swiatek walked past, every big player you can think of, apart from obviously Nadal, who wasn't there, was there at that moment, like when I was watching, and it was like, holy, it was like,
you don't know
what
what to
is
look.
going on? Like, it's just absolutely crazy. And it was the first time that like I went there. It was during the qualifying week, and they were all warming up. So that was just absolutely insane, to be honest. I mean, that was like whoa as well, and that because that was the first one. But yeah, Peter says, "Oh, I would be screaming." Yeah, I have no idea who Amanda Holden is. Yeah, I think if you're not from the UK, you probably don't know who that is, to be honest. In honesty, but I saw that interview. Actually, was very nice. Yeah, what was the purpose of the special conference? I think it was just for something for the media to.
I think they're doing a documentary.
Yes, that's it, isn't it? Yeah, they're doing a doc, so it's probably just like a like sneak preview. So actually, Ash Barty did a press conference, and she's not coming back, by the way, guys. But I haven't actually uploaded that. So just for you guys, and I asked her a question as well, first question, but I haven't uploaded it. Actually, I should. We were allowed to use 2 minutes of audio footage, 2 minutes, up to 2 minutes of audio footage for each presser or interview, which is why you would have seen that 2 minutes or less because of that. So, we had some one-on-ones, and they could have gone on for 10 minutes, but we weren't only allowed to use 2 minutes. So we just ended up keeping them short, which is is what it is. Like that's what we were given. It was our first year, so we'll take it. But maybe we'll see what we can do in future years. But yeah, about my Djokovic thing, Fazan needed diaper moment. Can't imagine that. Even hearing it is goosebumps. Yeah, bro, Homelander do, yeah, exactly.
That's a good comment.
Fazan a bag of nerves. Yeah, exactly. Oh, you definitely drew the best technical response out of Novak. Yeah, I mean that's what we were trying. A lot of people were not really there for tennis, and that's the thing, right? Because we're our own outlet, we're our own platform, and we really focus on tennis. That's what we're asking. We're very tennis based, right? And or about mentality and things like that. A lot of people are asking, the Daily Mail, which is a paper here in the UK, they were asking, oh, were you so happy to have the Prince of Wales watching in the Raw box? And it's like, okay, great, but who cares? In honesty, but some people do care, obviously, but just not our kind of crowd. But let's go back to the other question. Well, Fazan, how cool was that to be there? Nice experience it was. Yeah, definitely. Matthew Fazan, I noticed that you got called first to ask a question quite often. Why do you think that was? So there's a couple of things here. So actually, at the start, there was no reason for it because I started midway through the tournament, right? Because I did qualies and then also I was doing editing and other guys were there. And then I started on the Sunday. And some of these guys were saying to me, like, look, Fazan, I think like Liam and Ash and I think Flo, they're like, there's three mediators, right? So two of the mediators are really good. Like they were like, you know what? If it's one of those two mediators, you're probably easily going to get to ask a question. Or, you've got a really good chance. But they said there was one mediator who was quite brightly coloured and she was mainly in the media theatre, which is the main presser. She was a tough nut to crack, and they were struggling to get lots of questions or any questions with her in some of the presses. Now, I didn't know at the time who it was, and I just rocked up like da 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 on the Sunday, and the Sunday and the Monday. Sunday and the Monday. I got to ask a question in every presser that I put my hand up on, and that was every one, apart from one, which was Alcaraz, because Venu was with me and he put his hand up and he got to ask. But every presser that I put my hand up in, she asked me, and it was that woman, and it was really weird because obviously she hadn't seen me beforehand, and the first time that I put my hand up, she asked me straight away, like first question, but she didn't know who I was. Now, at the end of the tournament, I kind of gave like a box of chocolates to some of the subsequent teams, and she was there, the mediator, the main one, because she ended up doing all of the main, all of the back end matches. So quarterfinals, semifinals, finals. She was doing all of them, like exclusively. And the first 2 days, I had 100% luck with her, like in terms of getting to ask questions. And it became harder and harder, of course, as time went on, but we still managed to get 3 out of the 4 finalists, right? Ash helped me out with that, of course, as well. But yeah, I gave them a box of chocolates, and she said, thanks so much. And then she was in there with the other staff, and she said, you were my safe question. And I said, oh, what do you? And she goes, I knew that if I asked you, you're going to stick to tennis-related questions, right? Now, how weird is that to say in a tennis press conference? Like, you're going to ask a tennis-related question. But I was like, cool. And I think it was also that. Maybe it's also the way that I'm quite a big guy anyway. So, like, I feel like I just was there and I'm a bit of a figure. So I sat right in front of her, which was, to be fair, that was advice from Ash H and Liam. And I think Flo and maybe even yourself, Ash, like to sit kind of in her eye line. So I tried to do that. And then also I, made sure to, I put my hand up. These guys were saying, make sure you kind of put your hand up like this. Don't put it up like up here, and don't also just don't put it up. Just kind of keep it up there constantly until she asks you. So I was doing that as well. But maybe it was just my delivery, I guess. And I kept it I tried to keep it quite concise. And then also a lot of the guys, some of the guys, especially the American guys, they'd ask a question, and if they didn't get the response they wanted or they wanted more, they'd actually follow it up, and sometimes it'd be 2 or 3 follow-ups, and you're not technically supposed to do that, I don't think, but she'd allow it because they're rights holders. It was mainly people like ESPN, etc. But all really nice guys. Obviously, they just had certain articles they need to write. But for us, we don't have that, right? We're using the audio content. It's for you guys really want to ask questions that you guys are going to be interested in. And yeah, so that's kind of maybe why. But I don't have the exact answer. I mean, obviously she said about the tennis question, but maybe I don't know. I don't know. Because the weird thing is, right, is that Venu got to ask one question with her, and that was to Alcaraz. And that was the first presser that Venu was in with her. And I was sitting with him, and he asked Alcaraz. Good question from Venu. After that, to be fair, he didn't do too many after that. I think he did 2 or 3, as in that media theatre with her. I think he maybe did 2 or 3 others. But she didn't pick him. She didn't go to him once. And then with Liam as well, Liam got a couple of times, like, got picked with her from what I saw. But then after that, she didn't like him either. And she just didn't pick him. And it was really, really weird. Very, very strange, in all honesty. Like, I think he kind of, again, I mean, he was better than Venu, but generally speaking, and Liam was like, she hates me. And I was like, I don't know why. It's so random. So, and obviously she knew that Liam and Venu were with me because we were saying our names and, from QualityShot. And I said to those guys, like, make sure you say that because not only will it show up on the audio and obviously when we use it and the video and the presses, and it's important, right? The whole world's watching a lot of these presses. If we say our name, then we get our name out there. But also, even more importantly, maybe in the short term, the mediator knows who you are. So she then knew my name, and Venu on the second day was like, she knows your name because, and I didn't realize, but she said like Fazan, she pointed to me and then asked me, but I didn't realize. And Venu was like, yeah, because you've been saying it. So I think that did help as well, and maybe just having confidence. Some of the times I was putting myself in honesty, but it just probably just didn't come across, to be fair. But yeah.
Also, not many people were. I mean, obviously, some of them were more well known, or she knew their names, but a lot of the other attendees didn't say who they were, where they came from. So, in a way, I think amongst the crowd, it probably and amongst even the players, it probably stood out more after a while, kind of who we were. Because not many people were actually doing that. Even though at the start of most press conferences, she'd say, state your name and who you work for before you ask your question. But I didn't really see it happening much.
Yeah, and that was weird, right? Because it was almost like majority of people, ESPN, they as you say, they didn't ask, and it was weird. The Daily Mail, a woman who always would ask about the stuff, she'd always do it, which is interesting, and some of the others did, but yeah, a lot didn't, and that's why I think like Liam etc. was, I think Liam etc. was like he was doing it, and then a couple of times like he just forgot, and he probably forgot because people weren't doing it, and Ash forgot as well. And it's the only reason they forgot is because like the common practice was that people weren't saying it right, so then you kind of just go with it. But I think after a while, I thought to myself, I think we need to do it, like just because we're new. Some of them she knew their names, so she'd say like whoever, like she'd say Willie or Matt and like whoever, right? And then they were like, well, I don't need to say who I'm representing because whatever, maybe it's for an article, it doesn't matter, right? They don't care. But for us, it's different, I think, because of the platform we are. Malik says the men's double final was excellent. It was, and Ash watched that, so we can touch about on that in a second. And Jerome said, did Liam have any idea why he fell out of favor with her? Well, he's in here, so he can tell you, Mr. Tennis Section. I think you got the questions in because you went and R-ing. Yeah, so so I'll get to that in a second. And obviously, I know who he's talking about, but yeah. Mohammed Leia says it must be in the pretty face with me. Well, to be honest, if it was to do with pretty face, then Liam would think that would be him because Liam thinks he's the prettiest girl in the ball. He won't mind me saying that. Snell says she must have been an old subscriber of QualityShot. Maybe. Proper interesting story, yeah. Bit of luck, and then she trusted us going to focus on tennis. Yeah, I think so. You mentioned she was the least likely to get a question with as well. Yeah, I mean, thing is, the other guys did so well in the other presses, in the other rooms, etc. And then even, for example, some of the exclusives, like fantastic. For some reason, just not with her. Don't know why. I have no idea. Couldn't. Maybe we should have asked. Maybe I should have asked her. But yeah, it's a pretty face. I know. Did Liam have any idea why he fell out? Yeah, we've gone through that. People hearing QualityShot not knowing it's the future of tennis broadcasting. Yeah, I think you guys did awesome. Thank you. To us, I did get questions with her. You did, yeah, and like 60. Yeah, I reckon that's probably right. 60-70% of the time, just someone she didn't pick me. Yeah, it was those times actually, and she. To be fair, Liam, she did to Ash as well, where she was like, and to Venu as well, where she'd go like, she'd say, and towards the end, she did it once or twice to me, where she just. Actually, did she? Yeah, I think she did. Where she went, oh, we'll see. Like she mouthed, we'll see. I know she did it with you and did it with a couple of others, but what she didn't do with me, which I thought was a bit rude with a couple of you guys, was go like, yeah, I know, like that kind of. And then she did it to Liam at least once because I remember, and me and Liam were like, "What the hell? Like that's like why?" And then one was she did it with Venue once as well. I think it was like, but why? I don't know, but it's fine. It is what it is. Like I'm sure she had her reasons. Who knows? Who knows? But yeah, it's just it's more of a funny thing, right? I mean, she was really nice generally. She said hi to me every time she walked past me, and the thing is, I think she just had to distribute the questions to certain outlets because, especially people that had rights. I think Liam kind of mentioned maybe that's the reason it probably would have been, and I think the fact that I got more proportional questions with her is probably just luck more than anything. I think, to be honest, and if she was looking around, I'd kind of just take. I'll just be able to get my hand up and be like, "Oh yeah, who discussing that was being rude." It was a mediator. She wasn't being rude. I think it just came across as being rude, but she wasn't being rude. I think she's just, yeah, she was nice generally. I think she just had to spread the questions to other people and make people happy. I think the rights holders, which is understandable given they're paying a lot more. Yeah, me and the mediator in room 2. Were like Bessie. Shame she wasn't around for the last 3-4 days. Yeah, so she was nice. I had her once or twice in room 2. Really nice, chatting. And there's another one who's also nice, who I had at Qualies, and she like was in charge of just running everything. So she was really good as well. But yeah, okay. Let's get into the other questions. Yeah, the men's doubles actually. Ash, you want to touch upon that because you watched that? I didn't end up watching that in the end, but you did. You were in the stadium as well, right? Watching it,
Yeah.
and you also got to the presser and asked the questions. So yeah, talk us through that.
Yeah, it was a brilliant final. I think it was obviously after the women's singles final, so some people had left centre court, and quite often at Wimbledon, as the kind of day goes on, if you've got like a grounds pass or a pass for a ticket for another court, you can try your luck and get onto centre court. And what happened was a lot of people had left, so there was pretty much, if you wanted to watch it, you could watch it. So I think as it was kind of towards the end of the day, people, some people probably drunk a bit. It was quite a lively atmosphere. There was obviously a Brit playing, so they were super behind Henry Patton. Atmosphere was brilliant, and it was an unbelievable match. I mean, 3 tie breaks, match points saved, just like every point super high quality, really entertaining doubles. Yeah, super enjoyable match, and yeah, press conference was cool. There was not too many people there because it was quite late at that point, but you could see, like, kind of see how much it meant to. It was Henry and Harry. It was quite a lot of people got their names confused, I think. It was, yeah, it
That's
was a
not good,
lot
is
of
it?
nah, it
Not
was
cash.
quite funny. But yeah, you could see how much it meant to them, and kind of what a great story for Henry. He was a statistician at Wimbledon, I think 8 years ago, and so yeah, to suddenly be men's doubles champ was pretty. You could see it clearly hadn't sunk in yet, understandably. And then I think Harry as well said himself he stopped playing tennis at 23 for 5 years, I think. So kind of beyond his wildest dreams as well. So really kind of inspirational story there, and a fantastic match.
Yeah, it seemed it. And it was definitely an incredible story and lots of tiebreakers, which is always the case in doubles. But they handled it really well, I think. And yeah, I mean, a great story. And actually, Liam, you're commenting so much in the chat. You may as well jump on the call, mate. If you want, to, if you're at home, you may as well just tell me, and I can send you the link. Let me know, Liam, if you want to jump on the call. You may as well. But yeah, Anti saying actually crazy being there in that balcony moment. Yeah, so actually, and Ash, so I mean, for us, it wasn't that weird because we were there so much, right? But me and Ash were so on Alcaraz's Instagram. where he's got an ATP reel where it's with the ATP, and he goes, "Oh, thanks guys, blah blah," and then goes, I what did he say? He said like, I'm on my way. Like, thanks for the support. I'm on my way to go and watch Spain England. And right at the start, you can see like me and Ash. That's basically that moment where I said we were walking down the stairs with him. So just as we came out the stairs, he then like talked to the security guards a bit. Then he went one way, we went the other way, and you could see us in the back, like our back. So I'm wearing a checked shirt, and Ash is wearing like another kind of like a long sleeve shirt as well. And you can see us like these two Asian guys in the background, right at the start of the reel. So funny. Ash was like, "That's us." I was like, "Yeah," but yeah, I mean, that was weird. And actually, there's a really funny moment because and I'll bring it up because I think we should because it happened. But our crowd is generally very good. Liam knows Ash as well. Anyone asking for a selfie, I never saw him say once no. Like everyone was asking him, especially with me and Liam. So many people were asking him, and he still was like, "Yeah, all good, all smiles, blah blah," like chatting to people, "How are you?" etc. Really, really seemed like a really cool guy. But when he was on his way to go watch Spain England, and obviously had the championship dinner as well. He was in a massive rush, right? So he kind of came out, and the security guards were like, "Yeah, vamos," and he's like, "Yeah, vamos." And then one of the security guards asked him, like, he's like, "Oh, Carlos, can I have a picture?" And Carlos was like, "Oh, I'm really sorry, I'm in a really like big rush." And obviously, like he just said it like no harm in him saying no because he was in a big rush, right? And he doesn't need to do it, but this guard's face, like I was saying to Ash, the guy was like, he was like about to cry. I was like, poor guy. I was like, poor guy. But I was like, Carlos at that moment is like the most in-demand guy. He's like just gone through like the ringer with media and everything else, and he obviously just wants to go and see Spain England. He's going to be late, and he has to go to Champs dinner and get ready, etc. So it was understandable, but it was just a funny moment, and I just felt bad for the guy, but. I was thinking in my head, should have got a picture earlier. Should have got a picture earlier. I was like, but yeah. So yeah, we did have photos of great players. Yeah. Matthew, will you now be having media access to the US Open? So this is actually an annoying one because Liam's already going as a fan, so we could have had him and also Anthony, of course, go, who's in the US. I have contacted them, and apparently their deadline was in May, which is pretty obscene given that we're in July and the tournament starts end of August. But apparently that's a deadline, so it's looking unlikely, which is annoying to be honest, because I would have hoped we would have got it. But I am in contact with them, so we'll see whether we can do anything. But it's looking unlikely, I think, in honesty, which is disappointing. But there's positive news. In a week and a half's time, we will be covering Atlanta. So the last ever tournament in Atlanta, Anthony will be going there. We did it last year as well. And the good thing about that is that Anthony will be able to record video. So he'll be able to get hopefully some really cool content with people like TFO and others. And yeah, I mean, I'll probably be jumping on a call with Anthony this week and trying to give him some more tricks of the trade. I mean, he obviously went before to Atlanta and did a really good job there. So I'm looking forward to us being there, as a presence at Atlanta as well. And I'm sure he'll enjoy it, which is obviously a big thing as well. But we'll get some great content for you guys from there as well. Mohammed Leia says, "Great question by Fazan. Thank you. I'm assuming that that'll be good." Ghost says, "Hey boys." Hey Ghost. Hey Max, how you doing? I still haven't seen evidence he was booed. Did anyone see about Novak? Yeah, I haven't. I like the little violin thing. That was cool. Yes, the violin thing was for his daughter, so she's practicing violin. So he was doing the violin celebration, which was cool. I thought it was really good, and obviously he played into it a little bit because after the Massetti win, he played the violin, and then the whole crowd booed him because of what happened with the Runa match in the previous match, and then he kept on doing it, and then kind of did a 360 around the crowd and went, "Yeah, come on, guys, keep booing me," and it was like, okay, he just is crack up. Novak seems like a nice dude. He has become overly sensitive as a result of his publicity. Perhaps it's his own fault. Who knows? Yeah, I thought the crowd was saying Rune, who was Boo Nole, if that's who you're discussing. Yeah, we were. I mean, damn near the entire tennis establishment has been coming for him for years. He had the country of Australia gunning for him. If he's sensitive, it's probably well earned. Yeah, it's fair. Whatever the case may be, Novak is a supreme athlete. Yes, he's very well spoken. Yeah. Okay, Matthew. On the men's side, out of the next 20 majors, how many will be won by players other than Alcaraz and Sinner? It's a good question. So 20 slams is 5 years. I mean, good question, actually. It's a very good question. I would say the next 5 years, how many realistically can they both win? I mean, in the next 5 years, you'd expect Alcaraz to win at least. I mean, obviously, this is assuming they both stay fit. Maybe they both win on average 1 a year. That's 10. Well, that's 10 in total, right? 5 and 5. I'm going to say 7. Maybe 6 or 7. What do you think, Ash?
Yeah, I was thinking 6. That was the number I had in my head. It's a hard one. I mean,
Because it's who wins them, right? Because you've got
exactly, yeah.
like Djokovic. If he wins one, I think it'll be like the U.S. Open this year, and maybe he's got next year. I think after that's gonna be difficult, and I don't know. Maybe he won't win another one. Who knows? Maybe he will, but it won't be too many. I don't think. I would imagine at his age. You got Medvedev. He's already won one. Could he win another one? You'd think so, I guess, on a hard court maybe. Got Zverev, who's become really close. Could Tsitsipas finally do it? Rude's made 3 Grand Slam finals. I think a lot's going to come down to also like injuries, because if say there's a tournament where say Alcaraz is injured or Sinner's injured, and then one of them loses early on, then it opens up, right, and that's it. Like it's just you almost feel like if a player's going to win it, they can't play both of them consecutively. That's what happened with Medvedev, right? He had to play Sinner then Alcaraz, and he said in the post-match press conference that it actually helped him almost to play Sinner and then play Alcaraz because of the ball quality and like the intensity. But I think I get his point, but at the same time, it's just doubly as hard to get through because they're just so good. So you still have to face Alcaraz and beat him, right? It's fine to say that I was able to hit with him, but I'm sure if he played, no offense to say, I don't know, Taylor Fritz, he would have preferred that, and he probably would have beaten him with the level that he was playing. So that's kind of how I see that. But yeah, I don't know. It's a good
It
question.
feels crazy to be saying that. If I'm reflecting, to be
It
saying
does,
that only
yeah.
6 out of the next 20 will be won by different people, given that, I mean, I know Carlos has won 4 now, right?
Sinner's only won 1.
Sinner's
Yeah.
only won 1, so 5 between them, and we're saying they're going to win 14 of the next 20. It feels, I mean, they're so good. It could happen, but it does feel crazy to be saying that.
It does, yeah. But it's just who's going to do. I mean, will Runa do something?
Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, it's difficult to see who else wins it. Like I just don't know because until one of the other guys, like Medvedev's won one, but it was almost 3 years ago now. Like it's not recent, right? So like who wins another slam? Obviously, let's put Djokovic to one side because it's different, but all the other guys, I just don't know. Like the guys need to step up and do it for us to suddenly say like maybe they can do it. But I think the problem is that a lot of these guys are the now gen, but the next gen in Alcaraz and Sinner, they've leapfrogged these guys. They leapfrogged them big time, and then it's like, okay, well, they've got more experience in the slams up, and they've got that belief and experience winning it. So it's like, okay, now they're in trouble because these guys are no longer the next gen and the now gen. They're joining you, so good luck. Now, what are you going to do? So I don't know. It's going to be interesting, but yeah.
Great question.
There you go. One for you. Ash,
Ooh.
who is your favorite ATP and WTA tennis player?
Currently, It is Hurkacz on the ATP side, and on the WTA, I don't have a favorite necessarily. I'd say it's between Raducanu and Jabeur. That's close.
Yeah, Jabeur is my favorite on the WTA side. I prefer the more firebrand, young Nole myself right now. How you're able to get these press credentials, was that already discussed? No, it wasn't. So we had to apply. We had to apply, to be honest. And last year I missed a deadline because it's so far in advance. And this year I didn't make the same mistake. I'm not even joking. As soon as it became the new year, I got into contact with them. So we're talking about us, planting the seed 6 months in advance. And I contacted them. I jumped on 2 Zoom calls with them as well. Not just Wimbledon, but IMG as well, to make sure that we weren't going to, we weren't going to abuse any regulations, copyright laws, etc. So that's why, for example, we had the accreditation, so we couldn't do play-by-play commentary, because if you have accreditation, you can't do play-by-play commentary for the tournament. So for Wimbledon, when we were doing qualies, we were able to do play-by-play commentary for like other tournaments like Eastbourne, whatever. But yeah, we couldn't do it for Wimbledon. We could only do like general chats. But now play-by-play commentary is back, so don't worry, guys. So from tomorrow, because Nadal's playing, I'm sure someone will be doing that. So you've got that to look forward to. But yeah, that was something we had to kind of give up, which is a little bit annoying, but I think it was worth it for the exposure and everything that we got. So yeah, but yeah, so I talked to them, and then you have to also pay for credential as well. You get certain categories, and you have to send them like your analytics. So how many followers, subscribers, your socials, your reach, what do you do, lots of different metrics, and then they just decide whether or not you're worthy, really, of getting a media credential. That's really what it was. And it was weird because so we were in the same media room, but this media room was tiny. I think it must have had 10 desks in it. Oh no, more than that. It would have been 15, but it was small. It was a small room. They're like little cubicles, and well, they're little kind of desks with a screen, but you just walk around. And Catherine Whitaker and it would be Matt, I think, is the other guy, one of the other guys from the tennis podcast. They were in the same room as us. It's quite funny. So they were in there, a couple of others as well. But yeah, I mean, obviously, the majority of people that were in with the presses were like ESPN, The Athletic. We had Forbes, the Wall Street Journal for the last day. They were there, which was interesting. The Guardian, which is a UK newspaper. We had like the time, just everyone, all the big dogs, to be honest. But yeah, Peaches, can you post your interviews? Yes, yeah. So all of our tennis interviews and questions from presses are under the tennis interviews playlist on the channel. You can also just go to the video section and check there as well. So yeah, you can do that as well. So now, yes, what happened with Kalinskaya? So we need Ash H to talk about this, to be honest. But yeah, so I'll sum it up. So Kalinskaya, we requested we requested an interview with her. And in fact, Ash, can you take over? My little one's just woken up, so I want to let you take over. I'll be back in a second.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I can't answer this question. It's related to the other Ash. So I don't actually know what happened. So we'll come back to that one when Pazan returns. Let's go through some of the other comments. Goes to strawberries are great, low on the glycemic index for those monitoring their sugars. Good to know. I didn't know that. Jerome says, did any players surprise you seeing them in person, be it their presence, their response, etc.? Good question. I don't know. As a general kind of statement, it was weird because, as Fazan said, when we showed up to practice, I remember the first time I showed up, you immediately see. I think the first person I saw was Hatchinov and Hurkacz coming out, and and you're like, whoa, okay, that's a pro tennis player there. And then you see another one 10 seconds later, and suddenly everywhere you look, they're all there. And it's weird because by the end of the tournament, you kind of normalize it, and you're like, oh, that's so and so, that's so and so. You just get used to it, which is bizarre because at first it's just like obviously starstruck. So yeah, it's crazy. I mean, Alcaraz was super friendly when I spoke to him. Just like I just wished him good luck, but he was really nice and smiley. It was nice seeing him kind of interact with his family as well. They seem to have a really nice dynamic. In terms of like their presence, I think Djokovic has an aura about him for sure. One of the coolest guys I didn't speak to, but I saw him interacting with Robin Montgomery, was Chris Eubanks. He seemed like a really fun-loving, happy guy. Seemed like he'd be really easy to get on with. So he was a really cool guy. The Brits as well. They were very friendly. I had a couple interviews where like I was pretty much just me and some of the British players, kind of the maybe lower ranked players, but they were really friendly, and it was kind of, you could see how much this tournament meant to them. So that was cool. And it says, what was the process of coming up with interview questions like with you guys? Just your overall thoughts on that process. So, I mean, to be honest, I don't think I was very good at coming up with questions myself. So I kind of asked the others what they thought would be good. We had a group chat, so sometimes people would put a message in there saying, "What do you think we should ask them?" But I think it tended to be in the media weekend. I was trying to focus a bit more about kind of what they like to do in preparation at Wimbledon, and kind of looking forward to the tournament. Actually, and then on the final weekend, it was more kind of reflective on either their whole tournament or the match they just played. I think it was obviously quite hard. Sometimes, you'd have a question planned, but someone else would ask it. So you kind of had to have a few backups as well, which I think was important because you didn't want to miss out on a chance to ask a question. Mohammed says, you guys did awesome. Thank you. Yeah, it was a really big team effort. Did you guys have any questions you decided not to ask? Ghost says, I'm trying to think. Off the top of my head, I can't think of a situation where that happened. I think we did definitely, when we were in pairs, we'd kind of cross-check it with the other person, see if they thought it was a good question or not. But yeah, we were careful not to kind of try and push any players' buttons and kind of ask anything kind of that would get a negative reaction from them. I think we were quite conscious of that. Especially as it was our kind of first year, we wanted to make a good impression amongst the players and the other media and kind of the people running the show. Ghost says, Andre Agassi looked great in his three-piece suit, very dapper. Yep, he did. Jerome says, how did you keep it together? Fazan touched on this. It was tough. I mean, I was very scared about, because sometimes if you were going to be the next question based on the moderator's signals. So it'd be kind of the wait for your question would be quite nerve-wracking, and I was very conscious of I didn't want to like my voice to crack or something, so I was just kind of making sure my lips weren't too dry. But yeah, it wasn't easy. I think once you say the first couple words, just like hi whoever, Ash here from QualityShot, that kind of settles you, and then as long as I think I concentrated on just pacing myself, not rushing the question, I think that helped. And genuinely just like looking at the person, like trying to treat them as much as just like a normal person that you're having a conversation with, I think helps. But it wasn't easy. I think sometimes I was a bit like tentative in the first, just saying hi, but then I kind of raised my voice a bit and grew in confidence. So yeah, it wasn't easy. Peach says, was on one experience. Yeah, indeed. You definitely drew the best technical response out of Novak. Yeah, the response from Novak, I think, was really good to Fazan's question. Andrea says, hello, Fazan Ash. I'd like to know what you think of Pericard, in particular, if he can become world number one in the world. World number one in the world? Great. And beat Alcaraz both on clay and grass. Giovanni has an excellent potential. But in the history of the sport, we never had a 6-8 on top of the ranking. Nonetheless, for so long as an ATP leadership requires. I think Fazan's definitely a good person to ask about this, so we might come back to it because he saw quite a lot of Pericard and really liked what he saw. So we might come back to that one. It's not on a bag of nerves. We've gone through some of these. What was the purpose? Oh, we've done that one, haven't we? Yeah, it was a really nice interview. I was hooked. Now but never. Roger and Rafa rivalry. Yeah, I forgot to ask them a question. But that was the question I was going to ask. I was going to ask them about kind of what is it about tennis that allows great rivals to be great friends as well. Because you've kind of seen it. Oh, he's back. You're kind of seeing it with you've seen it with Roger and Rafa with them two, and then you're seeing it almost now with Alcaraz and Sinner. It's interesting, I think, with tennis how that's the case. Fazan, there was a question from Andrea, which I think you'd be in a good position to answer because you saw a lot of this.
Oh, yes. Okay, here we go. Yeah, about Pericard, yes. Nonetheless, for so long as an ATP leadership requires. Yeah, I mean, look, I interviewed him twice, three times actually. So twice in person at the qualies, 1-to-1, and then also once in a presser. He's very well spoken. English is really good, and he's got a massive game. Huge serve, and he's just got a massive game for grass. I mean, tries to attack with the forehand, tried to come forward and volley a lot. We talked about it in his first chat, or my first chat with him, that he looked to come to the net more, and he was a lucky loser. He actually lost in the final round of qualifying to Hanvier, a French guy as well. Pericard was the number one seed, but Hanvier, I think, was a bit of a Benoit pair type. Ashley would have found him quite entertaining. So he kept on saying, La Maison, La Maison. And I think he was almost trying to say if he wins, then he'll be able to buy a house or something from the prize money, like wins qualifying. So, and qualifies for round one because obviously you think it's £60,000 is the reward just for losing in the first round, I think, at Wimbledon. So it's like a big kind of paycheck just to get through qualifying. And yeah, it was a really tight one. I think it was 2 tiebreakers, and it was a 4 sets, but very tight. And Pericard lost, and Hanvier was just hitting pretty big. And Pericard's one-hander needs some work. He's got one-handed back, and he's 6'8". So it's a bit weird, in honesty, and he can be a little bit laboured. As Mohammed saying, how is Pericard's footwork? It's not amazing. I have to say, and it's not bad, but it could be better. I think he also took a bit of time to get used to the movement on grass, and he did say in one of the interviews I did with him that he doesn't like to move. He likes to make his opponent move and do the running. So that kind of gives you a feel of the fact that like he's not going to be, and I guess it's 6'8" as well. He's not going to be a Schwartzman running around like a headless chicken defending for his life. He wants to serve big, go big on the forehand, shorten the points, and try and come to the net when he can. And that's the type of player he'll be. And I interviewed Maxime Cressy, and that's probably someone that Pericard could look to. And I know Cressy lost in qualifying the final round, but in terms of serve and volley, etc., that's not a bad shout. But he's got a little bit more to his game in terms of, the forehand's good and the slice can be improved. The one hand, as I said, sometimes when it's a bit windy, like in the final round of qualifying it was, and he was kind of just blocking the one-hander back because he just wasn't comfortable hitting through it. So some things to work on, no doubt, but the serve is one of the best on tour. I think he was at 100 plus aces when he went into the Musetti match. That was 30 more aces than anyone else. So ridiculous. His second serve average speed was like 120 miles per hour, which is just like phenomenal. And then not even that, but he was serving a lot of aces off the second serve as well, which was just like insane. So Musetti played a really good match against him. I think he was a bit tired by the time he got to that stage anyway, given he played qualifying. But he's a really exciting young talent. Really exciting young talent. Also good junior, of course. And yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing how he progresses. But he's clearly, he made the most of his lucky loser status and did really well, made a deep run, and it'll be interesting to see how he does on the hard courts. But with that type of serve, if he works on the rest of his game, there's no reason why I don't think he could be top 20. I'm not saying he'll be top 10, but I don't think top 20 is a crazy thing to say. I could see that happening at some point. Did you talk about the Kalinskaya thing, or do I need to?
No, I said yeah, you
Well, I think
obviously hear
Liam.
that
I
for
think
it,
Liam
yeah.
said it here, didn't he? For Kalinskaya, I felt bad. Yeah. So they to quickly summarize, they called me up Wimbledon to say, look, they called me up to say, oh, by the way, Kalinskaya's team, they were wondering what's the interview going to be about, and I was like, what about tennis? And then and I was working at home, and the guys were on site, and I was doing some editing on the side as well, and I was like, okay, yep. I was like, who is this? And they're like, yeah, Wimbledon, blah blah. Like, I said, yeah, it's just about tennis, and they're like, okay, so nothing else. And I was like, yeah, we're not going to ask him about Sinner, or obviously we're not going to ask her about Russia, etc. Like, but we're just focused on tennis. And she was like, okay, yeah, I just need to reassure some people. And obviously, it was her team. And then, yeah, I think she rocked up with like 6 bodyguards just for Ash H, which was very, very weird to say the least. And I listened back to the interview, and I haven't uploaded it because it was just pretty dull, to be honest. And she just clearly didn't want to be there. But why accept it then if you don't want to do it? So look, maybe she was just nervous. Maybe I don't know why. Like they were super anxious, but she seems nice enough, like in the WTA stuff. So I don't know. Like she just didn't really. I don't know. Thought found us threatening for some reason. I don't know why, or her team did anyway. So who knows? It's a very very bizarre situation, and the Wimbledon officials seem to also think it was bizarre from the sound of it. But yeah. Um, all good, I guess. All good. Just one of those crazy stories, and I think Ash H was understandably very nervous to have 6 bodyguards just standing there as he asks one person a question or a couple of questions. But yeah, Max, did you guys get into your favorite players? So, well, my favorite player is Nadal, so no, but I mean, I still managed to interview. So the only person I didn't interview actually was Alcaraz. So I think Ash H interviewed him. So did Venu. Did you, Ash? Actually, did you? Did you interview Alcaraz in the media weekend?
No,
Maybe
no.
Liam. I don't know, Liam. You can tell me if you did, but yeah, maybe Flo did. I don't know, but
Yeah,
yeah,
she
I
might
did.
have.
Yeah, maybe Flo did in the media weekend, but I didn't. And by the time I got there, I should have nicked it off Venu because Venu got the question, and then after that I was in 2 Alcaraz presses and I didn't get to ask him. One, of course, was the final one. But yeah, so that was the only thing. But everyone else was Djokovic. Yes, I got Djokovic twice, got Sinner twice, I think. But I think most people got Sinner. I also got Rune after he lost. That was a really good answer. Talked to Fritz. Talked to Tommy Paul after he lost as well. I'll talk to Fritz after he lost. There was a lot of like losing press conferences, but it's quite good because I got to get some good answers from them, and I kind of really like not obviously I wasn't going to dig the knife in, but I wanted to understand like kind of from a tactics point of view, like and how the match played out, like what were their thoughts on it. And Tony Paul gave some really good insights into how Alcaraz plays as well, and that was cool. Talked to Emma Navarro, talked to Vekic, and actually, that's it. Liam, he did a one-to-one with Vekic, which is really cool. But yeah, I spoke to Vekic like 2, 3 times. Rebecca, I talked to 2, 3 times. She was really good, actually. Generally, I mean, first time I talked to her, she gave a pretty short answer, but actually, when she lost, I talked to her and she gave a really long answer. I talked to Paolini a couple of times, which was really good. I mean, loads of players. I mean, who else? Yeah, I mean, some of the guys in the first week obviously had a lot more like variety. They talked to TFO and Tsitsipas, and yeah, so that was cool. I think I don't know whether someone talked to Rublev after he lost, but it would have been Ash H. But yeah, we had loads of people. So I think who did you talk to in the media weekend, Ash?
A lot of I'm trying to. This was a while ago now.
Did you talk to
Zverev.
Schmidt?
No, I don't think. No, I wasn't in that one. That one, because Flo and I were spread between
Because Flo did
room
Sabalenka, I
2
know.
and the media theatre. So yeah,
Yeah.
I definitely didn't
Oh,
do Shyun.
Jabeur. Did you do Jabeur?
No,
No, Flo did.
Flo did
Flo
Jabeur.
did Jabeur, and she did Sabalenka.
Flo did Jabeur,
Yeah.
yeah. I did a lot of the Brits because they were in room 2. I did Zverev. I did Vondrousova.
Yeah.
Um,
Went out first round, hilarious.
yeah, yeah, kind of. Yeah, though honestly, and the answers were given were suggesting that she was going to be off before we knew it. Anyway, she didn't really seem
Oh, really? She didn't seem
that.
comfortable or confident even.
I don't think physically she was in great shape, and
Okay.
yeah, I think almost the tournament came a bit too soon for her in a way. But yeah, media. Who else on the media weekend? I think it was a lot of the Brits, because there was
Draper?
so many. So yeah, Draper, I think. Yeah, Draper, Dart, Bolter,
Okay.
Jamie Murray.
I don't know if anyone did Goff actually. Trying to think.
Ooh,
But yeah, there were a few, and obviously,
I
yeah.
think
I
Flo
mean,
might have done golf, maybe.
next year we know that the media weekend there's loads, so we
Yeah,
probably
yeah.
just cover those, and we weren't kind of aware of that. So what happened was on the Sunday, I think Flo didn't come on the Sunday because it looked like there were only going to be 3 interviews, but then it ended up being like 7 or something because they hadn't released the full schedule. So that was interesting, but. Yeah, I mean, we interviewed everyone under the sun. I mean, you name a player, and we probably interviewed them. In fact, we did. We interviewed everyone. In the end, like collectively, we all did.
Mm.
I don't think there's anyone we missed, to be honest, because on the finals, obviously you did Krejcikova, on the final weekend, asked her about winning. I talked to Paolini after she lost as well, so that was cool. And then I mean, obviously we missed Alcaraz, but these guys have already done Alcaraz, so in terms of talking to him, it'd been done.
Mm.
So Medvedev, obviously I did quite a few times. He was great. He was actually my favorite person to interview. I just thought he was really engaging, nice chat, like quite funny, seemed cool. Yeah, I mean, and the answers he gave to me were quite good as well. Fritz was actually pretty good as well, and so was Musetti. I actually don't. I think Liam might have spoken to Musetti because Venu didn't manage to, and I wasn't in the presser with him, so not sure about him to be fair. But yeah, yeah. So on this, the umming and ahhing. So there's a guy, and he seems like a very nice guy, and you guys would have heard him. It's the guy who speaks in quite a deep voice and maybe comes across as mumbling a little bit. I think his name was Jemima, I want to say, but the mediator says so. He works for the Guardian, and he's the guy. He's in a lot of the presses, like historically, over the last few years. Like you'll hear him a lot. He's a guy who's kind of umming and ahhing quite a bit, like nearly every question, and seems like a really nice guy. But I was saying to Ash and Liam and stuff, like he must be an incredible editor or writer because, obviously just the way that he delivers the questions isn't the best, let's say. But he's clearly obviously very good at his job because he's at all the presses and all the tournaments. So clearly the guy has some incredible ability in something to do with his job. And it's just funny because some of the players where, especially the ones where English isn't their first language, they struggle to understand him a few times because either he's mumbling or he's umming and ahhing, so it kind of gets disjointed, and so they have to ask him to repeat his question. And it happened quite a few times, and Liam was Liam was saying that. Yeah, this is Liam was maybe just saying, oh, "How is he in here?" And I was like, "I'm telling you, this guy's a don in some
Yeah,
aspects.
he's a
Don't
wizard
worry."
with a pen.
Yeah, mate, with a pen or something. Yeah, I'm sure. But yeah, Mohammed says, I think you guys did awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Liam deserves to be treated more better. Full stop. It's all right, Max. He'll live. He'll live. He'll live. Dr. Storytell, congrats on the opportunity. Thank you. Appreciate it. Who you just got? Oh, yeah, that's fine. Da-da. Do you think Alcaraz sent Novak into retirement? No, of course not. I mean, Novak will. He'll play the Olympics. We talked to him after. He said he's focused on on competing at the Olympics and the US Open. Those are his two main goals, to try and do something there. So no, look, if he doesn't win the Olympics and he doesn't win the US Open and he goes through a stage of this year of being slamless and not winning the ATP Tour Finals, for example, maybe next year he'll retire. Maybe. I mean, I could see that happening. I said to Ash, I said, look, the changing of the guard last year, it kind of seemed like it was like, okay, we're in territory here where it could start happening, and then obviously Novak won the US Open. You're like, okay, well, he's kind of said it's not happening yet. But then this year he hasn't quite been at the level, and then obviously I know he got injured, but he still wasn't at the level before he got injured, and the level suddenly just kind of disappeared a little bit. And I think Yannick and Carlos have definitely upped their level, but I know he said in the presser that he'd look to adjust and make changes or improvements. But at 37 years of age, I just wonder. I don't think he can improve anymore. He can probably tactically change how he plays and tweak, but I find it hard to see him winning multiple slams, which is why it was interesting. I think Liam said somewhere here when were asked about the 20 slams, like how many do people win, and he's got 8 Alcaraz, 6 Yannick. That's 14 in total for the both of them. A few in there for Runa, so that leaves six. That leaves 6, and he says maybe 2 for Djokovic. That leaves 4. 1 for Zverev, 1 for Medvedev. Leaves 2, so 2 for Runa. I don't know if Djokovic will win 2 or 3, but we'll see, because he still made the final, right? So it's easy for me to say that, but I think if those guys are fit and they're competing and they make it to the latter stages, at the moment the matchup doesn't look great for him, but it could open up. They could knock each other out. Alcaraz could play Sinner and one of them wins, and then who knows? Maybe they get beaten by someone else if they're not seeded as highly, or one of them gets out early, and then who knows? Medvedev beats Sinner again, and Alcaraz has got upset early on, and I could see him beating everyone else. That's for sure. Can't lie, when Nori and Raducanu went out, left me pondering on the future of British tennis. Look, I mean, I think Jack Draper is. I talked to his coach Justin Shering on a podcast on the channel, and his coach up until the age of 16, and he coached him all the way through up until the age of 16, and he was really, really good with his analysis of Draper, and he rates him so highly, and obviously a bit biased, but he thinks he could be number 1. That's how good he thinks Draper is in terms of like his level, his potential. And he talks to Draper a lot still, and Draper comes and they kind of hug, and he's like a second father type figure. I really rate him. I know a lot of other people in the tennis sphere rate him as well, so I think it's just a matter of time. I think he got a tough matchup with Nori in the second round, which wasn't great, but I just have a feeling that it's going to click soon, and he'll make a second week of a slam. I would imagine in the next 18 months. That's kind of how I see it, but we'll see. Raducanu as well. Look, it was a good run for her, in honesty. And I talked to Lulu Sun. I talked to Raducanu in the losing press conference. Right. I asked her a question. Lulu Sun I talked to as well. She was really good. And yeah, I mean, look, I wouldn't worry too much. Bolter is there and thereabouts, and she won't win a slam, I don't think, but she's doing some decent stuff, so we'll see. What do you think of the British landscape, actually, Ash?
I think there was a lot of hope / expectation going into this tournament, because it seemed like there were so many British players playing, and some of them were on pretty good form going into it, especially Bolter's had her best year. Raducanu also had a good run at Wimbledon. I think she'll be quite happy with how it went. Yeah, not the most encouraging tournament, but I think, like as you said, Draper, I think he's got all the tools to be a top player, and it's only a matter of time. I think on on the women's side, I keep hearing a lot of people. I know she must be 15. Maybe she played qualies. I think Hannah Klugman.
Yeah, so
She is
I saw her.
super
I
highly
watched her play.
rated.
Yeah, so she's 15. She's like junior. She won the Junior Australian Open. She beat Brenda Kvitova, who's a really
Oh,
talented young Czech player, and she's played main draw in every slam, I think, Kvitova. And she lost to Alicia Parks, who I interviewed as well. Again, someone who's played main draw of lots of slams. She's made some decent runs and lost her in the final round of qualifying, but she was playing some really good tennis, and she's only going to get better and better. And I imagine by the age of 17, 18, right, we might be talking about her like we do with Raducanu. I'm not saying she's going to necessarily win a slam, you know, at 19, 20, but she's a damn good player by the looks
yeah,
of
the
it.
way they're talking about her is
Yeah.
it's quite scary. That I mean, that she's only 15, but I think she won the Orange Bowl, maybe, which is a big title to
Yeah.
win
Yeah.
um, as a junior. And yeah, the way they're talking about her is. So I don't think I get the sense from in and around British tennis there wasn't that much as big expectation of Raducanu. So I feel like it was not necessarily just speaking to people. It was quite a shock to many that she obviously had a great Wimbledon run, then the US Open. But I think there's a feeling that Klugman is the real deal.
Yeah. I
So yeah,
agree.
I think we're in a good place. It's not yet a bit of a disappointing tournament from the British perspective, but I think still a lot of exciting talent.
Yeah. I agree. I agree. Lots of things to look forward to, that's for sure. So, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't worry too much. I think it'll be okay, of course, with Murray retiring and everything else. Yep, fine, I get it, but she'll be fine. She'll be fine.
Mm. And we still had a British winner in the doubles.
Yeah, exactly,
So
exactly. 100%, 100%. I was disappointed ESPN didn't show the women's, I'm assuming. So the women's double ceremony. Was so happy for Taylor and Siniakova. Yeah. So Taylor Townsend, and I saw that. So obviously I'd left. I had to leave that day in the evening before that. But I saw the press conference was at 11 p.m.
mm,
That Taylor Townsend Siniakova one. So that was a late one. I mean, yeah. But look, they played incredibly well to win that. So kudos to them, of course. Great, great win. Maybe your BBC contacts can help get Liam in. Well, they're not BBC contacts. Well, I guess they kind of are. BBC/Wimbledon. They won't be able to help because it's a different tournament, so it's not the same. They don't have any links to the US Open, so yeah, unfortunately not. I'm going to the US Open, so it'd be nice to meet up with one of you. Yeah, of course. I mean, I won't be going, but I mean, if Liam's going as a fan, maybe he could. Thing is, I've been thinking for a while that we should probably do a meet and greet, and I'd like to do one in obviously in London first because that's kind of where I am, and a few of us are. But it would be nice, but there's no point doing it if only like two people are going to turn up. But if there's actually people who want to turn up, I think we'd probably have to do like a kind of Eventbrite type situation where people kind of just mark their attendance, and obviously we wouldn't charge anything because it's just a meet and greet. But yeah, we just do that, and I don't know, do it in like a park or something. I don't know, just like a little park, like tennis forum or something. I don't know, because I feel like if it's quite a few people, we can't really do it in like a restaurant or something. But yeah, like I'm more than happy to do that. I think it'd be cool to get to meet people, and if they're interested in meeting and chatting to us, then great. I mean, maybe people don't care, to be honest. But well, that's a really good shout. On-court meet and greet. We could do that. I probably wouldn't do it at our local club because I don't want people knowing where we play. But yeah, I mean, maybe at some tennis court somewhere. Maybe we do it at Wimbledon Park or something
mm.
because it's by Wimbledon. Like, it's quite cool. It's kind of iconic, and they've got loads of courts there. We could probably do something there. That would be cool. I'd be happy to pay for people. Just everyone jumps on, whatever, play a bit of tennis, have a chat. It's not a bad shout, to be honest, in honesty. So yeah, I reckon we could do something like that. That's a very, very good shout, in honesty. But yeah, I would love to do it. So maybe at some point soon would be good. I think Medvedev, Zverev get one each at least in terms of the next 20 slams, or just generally. Okay, that's fair. First consideration is when Novak retires in the next 5 years. So give Novak at least one each year for the next 3 years. But why do you say that though? But I know you. I know that that's the general thinking, right? But if he doesn't win one this year, can you still say that? I don't think you can, because then it's like, well, he's gone a year without a slam, so it could happen the next year, right? As he gets older and older. So you know what I mean? It just I feel like that could happen, but I don't know. Musetti maybe. Musetti's got potential, but he needs to up here a little bit. I think there needs to be a slight adjustment because even, and I hate to say this, but and I don't know whether it was Liam that asked him a question or someone else. I think it was Liam asked him a question, and I was sitting with him, and I don't know whether it was to Liam or someone else, but in the losing press conference, basically after losing to Novak, he said, I believe I can beat most players on tour now, which doesn't mean much because he should anyway, because he's a top 20 player, but also, and this is with the utmost respect, he didn't beat anyone inside the top 20 on his way to whatever it was, quarterfinals or semi-finals even. The draw really opened up for him, and he just didn't have to really face anyone of note. He faced Pericard, great, but his Pericard was playing his first Wimbledon ever, right? Apart from that, if you look at the people that he played, like look at some of those names. Like there's no one there really of real, no one who's going to challenge for the title, no one who's expected to go deep. So yeah, I mean, we'll see. I think on clay he's got a good chance, but then so does Alcaraz, and you've got Zverev, and you've got Ruud. So, but you'd expect someone of his quality and ability to do something for sure. What do you think about Musetti, Ash?
Like I said, I'm not sure mentally he really believes he can take on the top guys. I think he's beaten Djokovic once, but I think Djokovic has
Won
beaten
every
him
other
5 or 6 times. Yeah. Because I know they had that French Open match a while back now, where he went 2 sets up.
Yeah, and he was 2 sets to 1 up this year.
Yeah, exactly. But I just don't. Yeah, I don't think he necessarily has that belief, and he almost just needs, those wins obviously give you that belief, but I think he needs that. And like you said, didn't face the toughest run. He needs a big win either against a Djokovic and Alcaraz or a Sinner.
Yeah, at Slam.
At a Slam, exactly, to kind of cement his own self-belief that he can challenge, because otherwise, yeah, I think he'll kind of be at this level for a while.
Yeah, I agree. Ruin needs a new coach before he can do it. Well, he just got back with Patrick Mouratoglou, so I don't know. Are they going to break up again and then get back together and kiss and make up? I don't know.
Good
But
toxic relationship.
Ash is not a fan. We're never going to get Patrick Mouratoglou on our podcast now. No. Who's a top pick to win US Open, man or woman? So I don't know. I mean, I just think to myself, the thing is, the US Open could be super open, especially for, well, maybe not especially for the men, but for both. Just because if someone goes deep at the Olympics, right, they're going to be tired as hell going into the US Open, right? The turnaround is not, it's pretty quick. So to go from Wimbledon to then the Olympics and then the US Open, it's it's tough work. So you could have someone who just didn't go that deep at Wimbledon, didn't go that deep at the Olympics. They just suddenly come into the hard court and they're good hard courts, and they just go on and they just wreck it and they win it. Like Medvedev, he'll be up there. I'm telling you now, the U.S. Open, he'll be up there. If Novak doesn't win, I think if Novak wins the Olympics, he won't win the U.S. Open. If he doesn't win the Olympics, if he goes out early, then he'll probably be there or thereabouts as well. Because again, like he'll be fresher. I can see Carlos going deeper at the Olympics. So could he really do French Open?
That'd be what?
Wimbledon, Olympics, and the U.S. Open? Like, I mean, that's wild. Like even Nadal hasn't done that, and like when he won Roland Garros, Wimbledon, and the Olympics in 2008. I mean, I just don't see anyone else doing that. It's obscene to do it. So especially given that it's on a different surface as well, like to then go to clay and then hard court, like 3 different surfaces, like back to back to back. Sinner, I don't know, to be honest, because again, depends on the Olympics. But yeah, I think someone like Medvedev and I mean, Zverev's quite good on clay, so he could go deep, and he's obviously the defending champion at the Olympics. But I don't know. I'm kind of starting to trend towards Medvedev, but my thoughts are, I mean, if we're just discarding the Olympics and saying like they don't exist, then you go with Alcaraz or Sinner, and I think maybe Sinner wins it at the US Open, but the courts are slightly slower than the Aussie Open, slightly, but they're getting quicker and quicker each year, so I think that probably favors someone like Sinner. I think we haven't seen Alcaraz, of course, win the Aussie Open yet, but and the Wimbledon courts are not as quick as they used to be. In honesty, I actually don't think they're quicker than the Australian Open anymore. So, yeah, if I had to pick right now on the spot, I'd say I'd go a bit left field and go Medvedev. On the women's side, I don't think Goff will defend her title. Kuchiko obviously just won Wimbledon. I thought Rybakina was going to. She didn't do it. Could Rybakina win the US Open? Maybe. You got Swiatek. I think Swiatek will go deep though at the Olympics. Maybe Sabalenka. She's fit. Maybe. Maybe she wins the other hardcourt slam. What about you, Ash?
It's really hard to say in it with the Olympics because you normally, right,
Yeah.
you don't have such a big tournament in between Wimbledon and the US. I like the Medvedev shout, and I think this Wimbledon run would have given him a lot of confidence. No shame in obviously beating Sinner, and then no shame in losing to Alcaraz. So I like the Medvedev shout quite a lot. I think interested to see if any of the Americans can challenge. I think Tommy Paul could have a good run. Whether he's in the winners conversation, I don't know, but I think it could be open season, kind of both on the men's and the women's side. Women's side, I like. For some reason, I like the idea of Rybakina winning it. I've always wanted to see Pegula.
Yeah, I mean Pegula is. Yeah, it's not bad shouting Navarro. I mean those guys from the US are on the women's side. Maybe they'll be pumped if they don't do much of the Olympics. Then they're kind of at home, so it's cool. But it's interesting because, and I had this chat with Liam, and I said, like Navarro, and this might sound a bit harsh, but obviously Navarro comes from a billionaire's background, like Pegula, right? Her family's like very rich and wealthy, and Navarro in the press conference, and she did really well at Wimbledon, right? Beat Goff, made quarterfinals, looked really good. She lost to Paolini, who made the final, fair play, and she said in the press conference, like when she made the quarterfinals, like, oh, I didn't really feel the pressure. I don't really feel the pressure like I thought I would. And part of me did think, is it just because, like, some of these players, maybe they've got the added pressure of, like, they don't come from a wealthy background. It's all what they're making of, like, their wealth is their own, right? In that sense. So whatever they're doing, they have to work for it in that sense. I do wonder whether obviously she's got a bit of a safety net to fall upon, so there's not really that pressure of like financially with her. So maybe there's just not the pressure in that sense, or maybe there is. You could look at it a different way and say, well, maybe because she's a billionaire, she's expected to do well, right? Because she's got the facilities and the equipment and everything else, and you know what I mean. So I guess you could look at it that way, but I think the same thing is obviously being thought about with Pagula. So look, I mean, she's been there or thereabouts, but she just hasn't been able to. She's never made a Grand Slam final yet, so it'll be interesting to see whether she can do it, and pretty soon because time is running out for her. In honesty, like Pagula's not that young anymore, so she's in her prime now. So that's it. It's kind of next few years, now or never. Same for someone like Jabeur. In fairness, Italians may have more players to release. Never know. Maybe. Yeah, Italian tennis obviously in good shape. Definitely going to get a mini team era from someone too. Not sure about that. There's not many one-handers around anymore. I'm so glad Sinner and Carlos have leapfrogged to win slams. Novak is in the exact scenario Navratilova was in during 1990-94 when Seles and Graf were on top. Navratilova was 12 years older than Graf and 17 years older than Seles. Won one major and made two major finals. Okay. Yeah, that's a good comparison. How old was Navratilova out of interest at that point? Now that's mental. Why can't you do play by play and be a journalist? It's just in the regulations and the conditions that they have. Did a storytell question: are you seeing more YouTube tennis media like yourself being given press passes at Grand Slams going forward? Not really, to be honest. So the tennis podcasts are the trailblazers, and I didn't get to speak to them. And I just think, obviously, look, that they're pretty high profile. They've got their own thing going on, and they didn't seem super interested in chatting and whatever, which is fine. They've got their own things that they're doing, right? So I didn't really push and talk to them. There's another podcast, a Tennis Weekly podcast, I think, and they were there last year. I think they're more audio, like Spotify and stuff, and they, weekly podcast, and they were there, and they're British. Apart from that, I don't think there are any other podcasts apart from us. I know a few other podcasts that have applied in the YouTube sphere. Some channels are actually bigger than us, and they haven't got it. So I don't know why, but yeah, I mean, I think it's becoming more and more common, especially at Wimbledon. Apparently, the US Open is notorious for not recognizing podcasts as media. So I think it just depends, right? Whether one, the YouTube tennis media are competent, they know their stuff, and how they come across, I think is a big thing. And I think maybe jumping on calls with them probably helped, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, I imagine it'll become more and more common. Actually, no, sorry, there was one other podcast. It was called, I don't want to get it wrong, but maybe it was the Black Spin podcast or Black Tennis podcast. So it's a tennis podcast just focused on black tennis players. So they only like focus on that. So there's a guy with me. He was focusing on Pericard, and Paolini is a quarter Ghanaian. So they were in the presser for her as well, and obviously some other players. But they only focus on that. So they weren't in any of the other pressers, or if they were just in and listening, but they weren't asking questions, etc. And they probably won't write anything on it. So or do a podcast on it. It's a very specific. I was surprised that Paolini got to the finals. I was hoping that Coco Iga would get there. Now, Paolini was a revelation in the tournament, and I kept on talking to her. I talked to her a few times. So did I think, a couple of other guys did as well. I know Liam did, and she just seems so happy and upbeat and in a good place. And the semi-final with Vekic was arguably the best match of the tournament on the men and women's side. To be honest, it was the longest semi-final in Wimbledon ladies history, and 10-8 in the final set, and it was a really high quality match. And I watched it in the stadium. Phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. Match of the tournament for me, to be honest, and it was so good. One of the best matches I've watched live. It was just that good, in honesty. But she played some really good tennis. Paolini, I think, her serve let her down at times, no doubt. But in the final, she fought hard. It was a close final, right? People should realize that 6-4 in the third set, and she had break points at 5-4, and she was pushing. Kushikova did really well. Kushikova did really well to come back, and she was obviously a surprise winner as well. Despite winning a slam before, she's had a lot of injuries, a lot of poor form, and it just, yeah, it is what it is, I guess. It's just sometimes, especially on grass, and if the big seeds go, then it opens up, and that's how it was. So yeah. Peaches, yeah, I hope he can get at least one slam, but Sasha needs to fix his mental block. Yeah, what do you think, Ash? Do you think Zverev will win a slam?
I mean, like, at this point, if he doesn't, I mean, it's a long day for him because he's been so close and been in positions where you're like, okay, he's got it now. But just seems to have a habit of fumbling it at the key moment. I feel like his best chances at Roland Garros, and he's still got quite a few opportunities, I think, to compete there. So yeah, I'd say I do believe we'll get one, but yeah, I can't say beyond that. I'll give him one.
Yeah, I think it's getting harder and harder the older he gets, because he was, I've talked about him before. I talked about him with Rick Macy, actually, and Rick agrees as well that the longer it goes on without him winning a slam, given his age and the expectation around him when he was younger, the harder it becomes, and it becomes more of a mental block more than anything, because he just keeps on thinking, when am I going to win one? Am I ever going to win one? And it just keeps on going. So, yeah, I mean, it's going to get harder and harder the older he gets. So, we'll see. Maybe he never wins one. But I think Djokovic used him as an example to say there's been many, many great players who have never won a slam. And he used Zverev as an example and said, hopefully he'll win one. But he's Olympic champion. He's won a lot of titles, Masters 1000 titles, 500s, 250s, ATP Tour finals. Just never won a slam, which is just crazy to say, right? But it is what it is. When it's Tsitsipas getting there, it seems disappointing every time. Tsitsipas is a different kettle of fish because he hasn't had the consistency of Zverev. In all honesty, he hasn't won as many titles, but he's made 2 slam finals, which now Zverev has, obviously recently. But until then, he had that over Zverev. But I think with Tsitsipas, I don't think he's ever going to be a top 5 player or top 3 player consistently. I think he'll always be top 10. But he just needs a really hot fortnight somewhere, probably at Roland Garros or somewhere to go and win. But I think at Wimbledon, despite having a really good serve and a fantastic forehand, the backhand doesn't hold up great. His slice isn't fantastic, in honesty, and I think he still doesn't move as well on it as he could. So maybe in future he'll be able to do better. He's got great hands in the net, so you'd expect him to be good on grass. He just, I'd say, solid on grass, but he's nothing special. And then on clay, we know he's really good. He takes a lot with the forehand. He's able to hit a lot of forehands on clay. Australian Open, historically, he's had good results, a lot of semi-finals, a final as well. And the US Open, actually, which is one you think he'd be really good at, because it's a bit slower, he hasn't done well at. So maybe this year he'll make a deep run at the US Open. Maybe he doesn't do that well at the Olympics, and he goes deep. But we'll see. We'll see if he does get that. I know I've had a lot of people say they don't think he is going to win one, which is quite interesting. What do you think, Ash?
Yeah, I just have a sneaky feeling he won't. Like you said, kind of always be in that top 10 category, but not the elite top 2 or 3. I think it's interesting how, like I said for Zverev, I think Roland Garros is his best chance. I think, as you said, the same for Tsitsipas, but there's a lot of players whose best chance is Roland Garros, and you've got Alcaraz winning there. So I think from now on, he'll be a firm favourite there. But you got Rude as well, who's made a few Roland Garros finals. Always capable of playing a really good tournament on clay. So for me, I struggle to see a route to a title for Tsitsipas, to a Grand Slam title. Yeah, I don't think it's clicked for him for a while now. Whereas I've seen better signs from Zverev, and even speaking to Zverev, he does seem in a pretty good place mentally. He seemed very relaxed at Wimbledon and quite the most confident I've seen at Wimbledon. Obviously, didn't go great for him, but he seemed in a good headspace. He seemed like he took a lot of positives from the French Open final. So I kind of just see him on a better trajectory than Tsitsipas at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, he should have won against Taylor, right? He was 2 sets to love up against Taylor for it, so he definitely should have done better then. Obviously, he said after he was on one leg or whatever, but I think that was more just as soon as you start losing or things don't go your way, then that little niggle you have just you feel it more, right? It's just the way it is because your mind starts thinking, starts trying to come up with the reasons why you're not playing well, why something's not working, and then you just go to the easiest thing. And for him, it was my knees. I kind of hyperextended it a couple of days ago. That's what it is, and that's kind of what he was thinking. But yeah, for Tsitsipas, I think it's an interesting one. I agree. I think Roland Garros is best chance. I think for Zverev, he's also got. I feel like maybe not grass, but I think at the US Open, he's made a final there before, and that's normally quite an open slam. He should have a good chance there in the future. I think so. We'll see how he gets on, but I'd be surprised if he doesn't win a slam. But it could very well happen. But Tsitsipas is a weird one, as you say. It's difficult to know, like to kind of map the route because, like with Zverev, I know he lost to Alcaraz in the Roland Garros final, but he has beaten Alcaraz in the past. I think Alcaraz is a really bad matchup for Steph. Sinner in the past wasn't as bad for Steph, but it seems like it's probably not a good matchup now. Whereas again, I think Zverev has beaten Sinner recently, as he beat Alcaraz this year. Zverev, right? The Australian Open. So, um, I don't know. I just think he's got a more solid game that, and it kind of doesn't sit as well with these guys. Whereas Tsitsipas is offensive, but he's just not as good offensively. So then he just gets hit off the court against them. But we'll see. We'll see. I think he also needs to be a bit more confident in his game and really push forward. I've heard him talk a lot about, oh, Alcaraz is better than me and this and that, and very respectful, and I can learn from them, and I get that that's fine. But at the end of the day, you're older than them. You need to be the one, right? You should be trying to bully them on court rather than being Mr. Nice Guy. But we'll see whether he's able to. Peaches, Coco needs to get a new coach. Gilbert, and no for me, he was on Tennis Channel commentators. Gilbert comments about Coco was not favourable. Oh, really? What did he say? I didn't hear it. He's been on the channel here before. So Brad Faulkner, we used to have a podcast called the Wild West Tennis Podcast, and Brad Faulkner is good friends with Brad Gilbert, so he had him on, and he was very good. I listened to him, and obviously a great tennis mind. But I'm interested to hear your thoughts, Peaches, on what he said about Coco, because I saw him as well walking. He walked past Brad Gilbert as well, but didn't stop and probably should have and been like, oh, do you know Brad Faulkner and stuff? I talked to him. I saw Steve Flink actually had a couple of conversations with him. Obviously, Hall of Fame writer, and yeah, I mean, he's great. He was a great guy to chat to, really, really knowledgeable. And he said he enjoyed our conversation. Said, "Here's my email." Very old school. He said he could send me an email, drop me an email, and we'll sort something. So I was like, "Great, cool." But yeah, really nice guy as well. But yeah, getting Nick Kyrgios next year would be dreamy. Oh mate, I mean that would be fantastic. I would love to. I would love to interview Nick, and we saw Nick Kyrgios training me and Liam, and he was warming up, and he was warming up with Djokovic's kids. So Stefan, who's Djokovic's son, is throwing a ball around with him, and then Kyrgios came out of the warm up, like it's just the warm up area, came out, and then lots of these kids are trying to get pictures with him, and he was like, "No, no, I've got to go train first." He was just like, "Nah, going to the practice courts." I think he took selfies after because obviously Liam got one, or the high shot one, but yeah, he obviously was hitting with Novak, but before that he was actually hitting with Novak's son, Stefan, and he must be, I don't know, 6, maybe 7, I don't know how old, not very old, and he was hitting with Kyrgios, and he's bloody good. Honestly, he probably beat us. He was like, I was watching him hit, like, whoa, honestly, like really, really impressive. And then he also played practice kind of points with Djokovic, and then they played mixed doubles with Djokovic's daughter, sorry, as well involved. So that was quite cool. Obviously, a bit of a bromance there now, but yeah, I'd love to get him in a presser next year. And in fact, I was really hoping I'd bump into him, not just there because obviously he's training, but I was hoping I'd be able to bump into him on the media center. But I think they're kind of maybe they're stationed somewhere else, the BBC ones. Maybe they're somewhere else, so indoors. But yeah, I was hoping maybe he'd make an appearance on the media balcony and just wander around like a lot of the others do, but he didn't. Well, if he did, I didn't see him. And it would have been good because if I had bumped into him, I would have tried to chat to him, to be honest, and not obviously like a fan, but more just like, oh, good to see you, blah blah. I hope it would be great to see you back soon, whatever. But yeah, I mean, apparently he was looking good. Djokovic was saying, an Aussie reporter asked him, like, how's Nick looking? I said, yeah, he's looking good. And Novak said he thinks he'll probably be back for the US Open. So we'll see. We'll see, I guess. Peters was a little disappointed with Paul and Fritz, but they got further along than expected on grass. Maybe not Fritz. I mean, Fritz obviously made a semi-final. Sorry, a quarter-final of Wimbledon a couple of years ago, lost to Nadal. Tommy Paul just won Queens, so I think they should be making quarterfinals or semi-finals. That's kind of where they should. I mean, right? They should be. They were understandably very disappointed after their respective losses, and they should have been because I think Paul was a bit different. He lost to, Tommy Paul obviously lost to Alcaraz, so fine. Taylor Fritz lost to Massetti, and he was obviously up there against Massetti as well. So that would have been a disappointment, I think, no doubt. Ashwin says Lexi Fazan. Hello, Lexi. How you doing? Was there dress code for press? No. There are some guys in t-shirts and shorts. So, no. Initially, I thought, oh, there must be. So I said to the guys, like, just dress smart casual, like chinos and shorts. Sorry, chinos and shoes and shirt. But to be honest, when I went to qualifying, it was a bit relaxed. But I thought, oh, maybe it's just because it's qualifying. But then the guys said as well, look, it's also relaxed here. So yeah, they were there and I don't know, just chilling. But some of the guys had some very interesting outfits, to say the least. To be honest, not from us, but from some of the press. They really just did not care. Fair enough. Fair enough. Some people said Medi could have been defaulted. No, because so he talked to us after, and someone asked him that, the ESPN journalist, and he said no. He said, like, why would I be defaulted? Because apparently he said something in Russian to her, and it wasn't as bad as Small Cat. So I don't think it could have been that bad, to be honest. I want to Paul and Fritz to get get gar. What does that mean? It's extremely
Get
important.
far.
Get far. Yeah, that's it. Oh my gosh. US men need to win badly. I know Fritz could have taken out Musetti, but that's true. That's true. Seems like Fritz ran out of gas. He had no answer. Yeah. If Novak continues to play, he needs a full-time coach back in his camp. He already doesn't he? He's got a few. I guess they're not kind of head coaches. There's a few different guys, but he does have a head coach. I don't know what his name is. I've forgotten, but he was blocking my pictures and videos for half of the practice before the final. But yeah, I wish I could show you guys. Yeah, those pictures and videos. It's a shame I can't, man. But
At the meetup.
That's true. Yeah, if we do a meet and greet, I can show you guys there. Maybe we need to hire a room or something after, like a little conference room. Everyone sits down, do like a little slideshow,
PowerPoint,
PowerPoint of Wimbledon 2024. Click through. I have to ask Liam. I know Liam's got loads of footage. I know he was probably recording whole sets, knowing him, of the practice. For someone so elite, it's shocking how poor his net volley game is. So generally speaking, it's not, in fairness to him. As I said, when we were watching him warm up before that morning, he looked phenomenal. His volleying and his transition game, flawless. But then as soon as you play someone, it's not just a pro, but I think specifically Alcaraz or Sinner. These guys are just so good at passing people at the net. Like they just got so many different ways. They're so athletic. And I think generally as well, the volleys are just made to be a lot harder than they were in practice for him. So he just struggled with that. He didn't have a good day at the net, I think, anyways. Obviously, 51% of points, 1 out of, was it 53 net points? So clearly not a great return, but I just think he's like when we watch him, he does look generally natural. It's just he was made to look uncomfortable because of Alcaraz, I think. What do you think, Ash?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think we said it at the time, right? When he was practicing, obviously he wasn't playing against Alcaraz. He was playing against a couple of Brits. So it's obviously easier to look really good when you're at your volley. It was like, touch, drop volleys, everything on point. But I think when he saw who he was facing at the other side of the net during the final, he was pretty intimidated because Alcaraz just could chase down everything, and I think Djokovic felt he had to get it spot on with his first volley. He couldn't necessarily set himself up for a second volley, or he was a bit tentative with his approaches and then coming into the net. So it was always, a bad approach is going to be tough at the net. So I think Alcaraz kind of almost got into his head in a bit and made Djokovic second guess and overthink himself and not necessarily perform as well as he usually does. Because I think usually he is pretty clinical at the net.
Well, the thing is, he served and volleyed really well throughout the whole tournament. And it's just when it came to Alcaraz, I mean, he just got picked off. And I think generally speaking, he didn't volley that well. And then on top of that, he thought to himself, look, Alcaraz is going to get a lot of these volleys. So he kind of overcooked a few of them, trying to go too close to the lines. And then there was some where he just wasn't in control of the volley because Alcaraz was pummeling him at the net. And some of the approaches weren't great either because they went. He was going cross court a lot into the forehand of Alcaraz, and it just didn't work. Sports and Politics says there's one YouTube channel that seems to be accredited everywhere, even in the US and South America, but I don't remember which one. They're like the trailblazers in the sense, hopefully opening the doors for others. Yeah, that's the tennis podcast they're called. I'm pretty sure it's those guys are talking about. They're like the number one tennis podcast in the world. Like I was looking at their ratings, like their rankings today, and like for Apple Podcasts, they're like number one in the US, number two in the UK, number one in Brazil, number one in Canada, like number one in most countries you can think of. So it's those guys.
They also got hooked up at the Wimbledon store. I saw one of their video podcasts, and they were wearing they basically, I think, got to do supermarket sweep at the Wimbledon store.
What?
I think so.
They got,
Yeah,
they got,
that's
they
the
got
aim.
free match.
I think that's what they're saying. They basically got to their
Mate,
pick of
they'll probably give her like £50 or something, £100.
yeah,
Like, spend it, mate.
because they were reveling in their new fits.
This one does even more tournaments than they do. Well, I don't know. I don't know then. I don't know who these guys are. It's a YouTube channel. It's a okay. I think is it BA Tennis? They're South American. Is it those guys? Is it BA Tennis? Let me know. The South American guys. So they're Spanish speaking, right? It might be those guys because you're talking about South America, etc. So I think it's those guys. They weren't at Wimbledon. They probably just cover the South America, like the Americas type stuff. But yeah, they weren't. From what I know, they weren't at Wimbledon. Sure, Novak got to hit that 25 before it's all said and done. We'll see. We'll see, right? Just dropping by to say Fazan, goat. Thank you, Cedric. You're a goat too, my man. You're a goat too. Lulu's son was hitting bombs. Mate, she was. I mean, she was playing unbelievable tennis. Unbelievable. Sinner versus Alcaraz US Open final. It depends, right? Because if they're seeded 2 and 3 again, or sorry, if they're seeded 1 and 3 again, they could be in the semi-finals. If they're not 1 and 2, then they might meet in a semi. So it just depends on seedings, but also depends if they even make it to that stage. But we'll see. I think the Olympics, as we said earlier, has a big bearing on that. That's for sure. Can Djokovic win another slam? Yeah, I mean he was not 100%. Made the final of Wimbledon, so I don't see why not. Ash, what's your prediction for that?
Yeah, definitely. I think he'll hit 25, at least. Obviously, this year's not been great for him, and we'll see how he ends it. Still, as he said, he's got big ambitions for the Olympics and US Open, but
Yeah.
I think, this year's been tough for him, but I think he'll definitely get at least one more. I think to write him off now would be criminal, to be honest, because he's proven time and time again what he's made of, and I'm sure. Yeah, I mean, obviously Alcaraz is playing brilliant at the moment. Sinner's had a great year, but he's a smart bloke. He's a great problem solver. I'm sure he'll find a way.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think we'll see. We'll see. I think surely he wins one of the Australian Open or Wimbledon at least once. I mean, in the next couple of years. I mean, let's see. Let's see. They're right. Let's see. On court meet and greet. Yeah, Novak is going to reach 25. Like Serena has to reach 24. Novak is going to reach 25. Like Serena has to reach 24. So you're saying that he's not going to reach it then because Serena didn't? I don't know. That's not what that means. True, but lack of the draw, such injuries will always play a part. Musetti also missing weapons. Yeah. I mean, his backhand is definitely a weapon. The forehand, when it's firing, is serve can be improved. That's for sure. Mentality. US Open is usually random. Yep. So they're not moving all that great. That's because he was ill, to be honest, against Medvedev. He was ill, so probably contributed. Pagula's window is done now. Oh, that's harsh. Harsh.
Brutal.
Ash is not happy. Exactly, brutal as Holger Rune
One
was
more
saying.
chance.
One more chance, yeah. One more chance, yeah, exactly. Ash in the house. Ash H. My highlight was the Kalinske interview. One of the most bizarre situations I've ever been in. Yeah, we were talking about that earlier. Absolute madness. Absolute madness. In honesty, yeah, I don't know what you were thinking, Ash, but yeah, Congrats to Carlos for Channel Slam. Yep. Thanks for sharing your experiences. Have to run, no problem, Peaches. If people have more questions specifically about that, let us know. Obviously, you can ask us anything anyway. According to Wikipedia, Paolini is 28. Is that correct? It is. So is Krishikova. Both of them are. She's just a late bloomer. Zverev has run out of time, thank goodness.
Savage.
That is savage. How can Rude make hardcourt and clay Grand Slam finals but seem like a ghost on grass? He doesn't take it serious. To be honest, if I'm being completely frank, and he seems like a great guy, works hard, but he doesn't fancy playing on grass. If I'm being honest, like he hasn't played a warm-up tournament that I know of in the last couple of years on grass, and then he'll play one or two exhibitions at the Boodles or whatever it is, Georgie Armani Classic, and then he just rocks up after playing a couple of rounds of golf, and then just goes, yeah, let's play, and yeah, he just he doesn't fancy it. Is really the crux of it, I think. Ash says, I also enjoyed interviewing Rublev. Yeah, Fazan sent me to this one. I had no idea he'd lost. Rublev stormed out to question 4. Yeah, her question is about him breaking rackets, right? So that was an interesting one. So good interview there. At least you got your question in. Can't stay for long. Amazing effort for the 2 weeks asking questions. Hope it was a great time, and hope you got good views of the matches in the stadium. We did. Both journalists at the top of the game. Thanks, David. I guess net game is just not part of his game plan. He looks to beat people from the baseline, but it is more and more, I think, as he gets older. So, Pat says, "Good morning from Australia." What an awesome!
That's how you know it's late.
I know. Thanks, Pat. Appreciate it. Pat, man, you're definitely on duty for some streams coming up, man. You're Mr. Ghost at the moment. People are going to be like, "Who's Pat?" And yeah, those guys, I don't know who they are. You're talking about in terms of YouTube channels, but I don't know. Do they get points for the Olympics? No, they don't. They just get the glory. That's it. That's it. But I'm not good at remembering names. Yep, I think Paolini is a lot younger. I thought. No, she's not. Now you mentioned the Boodles thing. That channel was there too. Great interview with the British guy who played Federer a few years ago.
Who, Marcus Willis? You play Federer, right?
Yeah, he means Marcus Willis. I think he must do. Let's have a look. See if I can find out this. It's not Game to Love, is it? Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. Oh, I don't know. I'll try my best out here. Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure. Oh, here you go. Talk 4 podcast? Nah. No idea. Team loses to Vrilis out in Gestard. Oh, wow. Vrilis is a good clay court, though. Will you do any more tournaments this year? Yes, we will be. So we're going to Atlanta in a week and a half. Anthony, one of our US guys, will be going there. And then hopefully we will also get credited for a few others. So I put out a poll on we've now got a WhatsApp group, and yeah, whatever guys put as availability we will apply for, and it's just a potential availability, and then we'll see how we go. But potentially at the moment, Davis Cup, Laver Cup, Vienna, Basel, Paris Masters, Metz, Gijón Open apparently, ATP Finals, Davis Cup Finals, Next Gen Finals, Guadalajara, oh, wow, WTA Finals, United Cup, lots to be honest. So yeah, we'll see whether Ash wants to do a bit of traveling, go
Take
and
things global.
mate, do some media, go and make it into holiday after. Some of the tournaments are only like a week, so You can kind of almost do that. That's quite cool. Yeah, Willis. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I was like maybe an arm's length away from Sandy, Murray, and Bordeaux. How many arms lengths were you away from the action? Were you outdoor or in those commentary boxes, but for press? So 90% of the time, 95% of the time, we were in actual like media seats, but not arm's lengths. We're just in really good seats. It's like a media section. They're labeled media, all reserved for press. And I was in a commentary box twice. Ash was once or half of one
Yeah, we
because
started the
yeah, we
on
started and
time.
then obviously and then we went onto a seat after. So yeah, I mean it was great. But thing is in Bordeaux and stuff. So Bordeaux is what I guess qualifying was like on outside courts at Wimbledon where you're literally right there. So I was watching Anisimova, who I interviewed as well. That was a great interview actually. I forgot to mention that. Did a couple of interviews in Anisimova, or one with her. And I like was watching her versus Eva Lees, who ended up qualifying. And Nisimova was like serving on the due side, and I was standing right in the corner, just beside Eva Lees, and Nisimova served just a bit wide, and the ball was like kind of it would have hit me, right? Like it just kind of missed me. So that's how close I was, like to the action. And I remember like quite vividly, like I didn't have sunglasses on, it wasn't that sunny, and she like went up to her towel on the side, and I'm right in front of her basically, and she's like wiping her face, like sweat, and then she like looks at me and just like it's really awkward, like okay, like just want to look away because it's really awkward. You don't want eyes to meet when it's like in the middle of a match and you're right there, and like it's just it's just awkward. So, but it was amazing. Like it's so close. Like yeah, could have high fived them if we wanted to on that stage, and the outer courts. But as soon as it gets to centre court, court one, obviously you can't. Like it's obviously it's a bigger stadium, it's bigger arena, so no, but a lot of the guys we could have who were ex players or others, etc. But yeah,
Practice, we could get super close to
yeah,
players.
practice. So yeah, actually, David, for practice. So I got a selfie with Alcaraz, so did Ash, so did Liam. You weren't here earlier, but and actually, David, I'll quickly mention because I guess you weren't here, but the first time I went to practice, which was during the qualies week, I came on site for the couple of hours in the morning before qualify started, and I was watching Djokovic practice with TFO, and they walked past me after. I literally walked straight past Rebecca, Swiatek, Alcaraz, Berrettini was practicing there, and when they finished, they all walk up and walk past you and stuff. So like Sabalenka was warming up to one side, so was Jabeur, like it was just it was madness in honesty. So that's all very much like if I wanted to, I'd go up to them, give them a high five, get selfies, whatever. You're not technically supposed to as media. We kind of managed to get a selfie second week, fine, but with Alcaraz, which was cool. But
When I
yeah,
saw her catch, I was like, because he was one of the first players I saw.
oh yeah,
I mean, he's one of my favorite players, but I didn't know what, like, he was walking towards me. He just
yeah,
finished playing with Hatchinov. And I just, when you see your mate and you just like nod at them,
yeah.
I was just like, Hubie? As he was walking past, he must have been like, who the hell are you?
Oh, what you said, Hubie, and did that?
Yeah, I was just like, Hubie. I
Ah,
just like, just nodded at him.
what did he
I didn't know
say?
what to do. Yeah, he just nodded back. He's like, right.
Ah. His voice is like nothing like you'd expect, right, from someone as
Oh
big as
yeah,
him.
yeah, not at
So
all.
funny, but yeah, I think you probably could have got away with getting yourself with him. He's so nice, to be honest.
Mm.
But
Yeah,
the thing
yeah,
is, the reason why you can get away with the players because they don't know your media, right? But
yeah,
as
exactly.
soon as they see us more and more, get your pictures in now because
Yeah,
as soon as they see us more and more, they're gonna be like, "What?"
yeah. They'll be like, wait, I saw you in the
They'll be
pit.
like, "You're the one that asked me, like, why did I play so badly?" And now you
Yeah.
want a selfie with me. Like, no thanks. But yeah, I mean, it is amazing. It's a shame that, like, obviously we couldn't just go and just get loads of selfies and take. We could take loads of videos and pictures, but we just couldn't upload them onto the channel. But look, I mean, we were lucky. The actual experience for us personally was amazing, so we can't complain. That's for sure. And people like McEnroe and Navratilova and everyone else walking past. And the media center media balcony is just like a who's who honestly, like it's madness. Leighton Hewitt's
It's
there.
also beautiful, like the
Yeah,
balcony,
yeah,
the kind of the flowers everywhere, the views of like
yeah,
Wimbledon, views of London. It's just such a nice place to be.
yeah. Amazing. And the thing is, the balcony, right? So like they've got all these different networks, just like just surrounding the balcony. They've got their own little booths. Kind of, it's all outdoors though. So after they're doing their all broadcasts and news, etc., and then when the players are done, like in the media conference, they come outside and they're getting interviewed on the benches outside. Like we're just there, just roaming around. So it's madness to be honest. But yeah, I mean it's very very cool. So and as I say at the moment, it's pretty new still. So but in a few months' time, we'll look back at it and be like, whoa. So definitely, guys, if you haven't, go and check out all our interviews. So many one-to-one interviews with players, and then also obviously a lot of questions that were asked and presses to a lot of the top players. It's under the playlist called Tennis Interviews. There's so many there. I mean, we must have done, I don't know how many. I reckon we must have done like 50 in total, like at least, because in qualies I would have done, so I did 3 per day and I was there Monday to Thursday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. That's already 4 times. That's already 12. Then you guys did a bunch on the media weekend. I don't know, maybe 8, 20. And then throughout the week, it was just carnage. I reckon we probably got another 30 in there or something. So there's a lot of like interviews, one-to-ones, then also some, some presses in there as well, but it's mainly us asking questions and then obviously players answering, which is amazing. So we got to talk to them in person. Not to show off, but I could hear Andy's mutterings in person. Who's an underrated complainer on court change events that we don't really perceive on TV. Yeah. So that's kind of what you get in qualies, to be honest. That's what you get. So yeah, when I was watching Anisimova, so it's quite cool. Like she was complaining to her box. Well, her box, I say, because it's like so small, but like her team, and they're just sitting on little chairs, and she's like, "Oh, a bit of support would be nice." And, she's like very sassy with it. It's quite funny, and you see everything. Like it's very intimate, and I think the same with the outside courts at Wimbledon. Obviously, you don't get the same though. Obviously, yeah, as I said, with the stadium courts, it's a bit different. I think. Felt like a rite of passage. David and Anthony have got to get to Wimby one day. Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously, you know, David was originally supposed to come and just couldn't make it happen. But yeah, we'd love to obviously have him come here next year, and who knows, maybe he can cover some of the ones for the rest of the year because there's still a lot of tournaments to do. And I think obviously he did Bordeaux, which is great, and then there's some other good tournaments coming up. So definitely, uh, David, just put your availability in the poll, in the polls that I put in the chat, and then we can go from there because look, we want to cover as many tournaments as possible. And the good thing about these small tournaments is we're not handicapped by really strict rules like we are at some of the slams. I think Wimbledon is the strictest from what I know. So I think we could do play by play with nearly all other slams, unless I'm wrong. And I think we could just do whatever we wanted in terms of that aspect. They may only do audio, but we could probably still do play by play. But with anything that's a Masters 1000 or anything else, I think you can do video with all of them. There's no restriction on audio. It's just like, yeah, you can. It's blanket. Kind of do whatever you want, as long as you're not recording matches. So you can and then posting it, but you can post practice. Like we posted some practices from like a WTA 1000 Guadalajara with Goff and stuff. They were fine with that. Like they didn't care. So yeah, I think we get really good access. Obviously, we got amazing access at Wimbledon, but we can't necessarily use that access, right? Whereas with the small tournaments, you get the access. The players might not be necessarily as big, but you get like better quality content, you might say, right? In terms of being able to actually record on your phone a video and like whatever else, right? Basically video is what I'm saying, and practices and stuff like that. Like I think it just makes a bit of a difference, that's all. And doing vlogs and etc, which we couldn't do. It's pretty surreal seeing players you like really mental, like parasocial relationship. I was smiling like an idiot asking Jerry Shan questions. Cool, willing Sean, yeah. How many passes? I mean, that was like me. So the first couple of days, or first day, second day, I interviewed like Schwartzman and Gasquet. It's like just one on one. It's just like madness, absolute madness. How many passes did you get for Wimbledon? So initially, actually, they said it was only supposed to be one, but then I said to them, "Look, we want to cover as much as possible." So they said we could technically have as many people as we want, but only maximum 2 people per day. So we end up having myself, Ash here. There's another Ash Horseman who's in the chat. Liam, who's done some commentary work for us in the past, and Flo, who also has done some commentary, who does commentary for us as well, and Venu as well, who's again done some commentary when the channel first started. But yeah, so those guys and we all did it, spread it, and just put together a schedule. But I think next year we'll see. I think it probably will be slightly less people. I think, in all honesty, or we'll probably rather like some people broken up. We'll probably just do blocks because I think it just makes more sense. But yeah, probably less people maybe because we'll hopefully be covering a lot of tournaments as well. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. But I think we got very lucky, to be honest, have so many people doing it. I had to kind of talk to Wimbledon because initially they said there's too many people, and then when I explained why and how we would do it, they're like, that's fine. But definitely a lot of being transparent, like with Wimbledon, to be honest. So yeah, but yeah. Anyways, is there anything else that you guys want to talk about before we wrap it up? Please let us know ASAP. We've got a couple of minutes, otherwise we'll wrap up. Been a good chat, actually. Enjoyed it. Good questions as well. A good chat, as always. Yeah, I don't know what that channel is, by the way. Sport and Politics, no idea. No idea. A channel that goes to all the events. I mean, I don't know. Are you sure you're not thinking of Tennis Channel? Like the broadcast? Because they do have a YouTube channel, but that's not what they are primarily. They're broadcasters, is what they are. Yeah, but yeah, I need to upload the Ash Barty presser, to be honest, because I haven't done that yet. So that's probably something for me to do. So I'll upload that, add that to the interview playlist, and yeah. YouTube channel, unofficial broadcaster. Whoa.
We need to get to the bottom of this.
Mate, this is like really bothering me now. Do they do vlogs or what? Challenges, 250s, what? Who are these people? Are they English? Are they English speaking? I guess is the question. English speaking? Nah, I don't know then. I don't know. Who are these people? English speaking, and they go to every event.
It's like this channel. Basically, they're like us in an alternative.
What?
Universe.
Like this channel? Well, I know obviously like tennis with Cam Williams, but he's Australian. They go like he doesn't go to events though, but he just does play by play for everything. Not every event, probably 30, 40 per year. Pff, I don't know. How many subscribers, is it big? Sorry, by the way, we're hogging this, but no one else is asking questions. If people ask questions, then we'll go into it. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep on searching with this because I'm interested. I feel like this is like my detective work.
Yeah.
Like, someone that goes to all these events.
They get about 30 to 40 events per year.
Mate, who are these
back
people?
then.
Do you know? Do you have any other more information, like the name of the name of the host, or like what kind of stuff they do? Match previews? Do they do live commentary? Like, what do they do? Is it vlogs? Like, I need something to be able to search them out. Like 30 to 40 events credit doesn't help. No clue. What? But how do you know who they are? Like, is it a podcast? Is it live shows? Is it commentary? Is it match previews? Is it like what is it? Ooh.
They do a lot. Commentaries, interviews.
Same with this channel. Commentaries, interviews, YouTube channel.
Okay, if we find this Marcus Willis at Boodle's interview, we can find them.
Right, okay. So Marcus Willis Boodles. I think we need to go. I can't see it though. Oh, actually, I can filter by. This has now just become. Just find out. There's nothing on YouTube for that interview. I don't know. I feel like you made this up, and you've put us on a wild goose chase trying to find it. Like us, I don't know. Things I'm pretty sure I know all of the. Like, there's Game to Love. There's Tennis with Talk with Cam Williams. They're the only other two guys I know that do commentary that are English speaking.
Does that Stephen guy? Does he do?
Oh, the Slice.
Yeah.
No. But and also I don't think he's been going to many events, to be honest.
All right.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's annoying. Now all I want to think of is like, who are these people? It's not the Slice. It's not the Slice. The Slice don't do commentary, and also the Steven I was talking to, they don't go. He doesn't go to 30, 40 events. He goes to a few a year, but it's not him. I don't think. I could be wrong, but I don't think it is. And he wasn't at Boodles either, because he's in Canada. Coffee break tennis? No. No, I don't think it's any of these, Brenda, because they don't go to enough events. He said 30 to 40 events per year. That means like content on the channel. And Boodles is basically a UK exhibition. Let's have a look. It's okay, Brenda. All good. Sorry, no, but see now you put it in our head. That's it. Now I can't get out. It's like when Djokovic said, "Let's everyone have a good night." Now it's in my head, just like that. Madness. Huh?
We need more info.
I know. Yeah, exactly. We need more info. Exactly. It's not enough information. Come on. Tennis channel. 3 Brits. Oh, it's 3. It's just 3 Brits, is it? Is that? Hold on. It says 3
Wait,
British
isn't
people. Or is that the actual? It's actually called the 3 Brits. Did he go to the final? Yeah, we went
changing
to.
the subject?
Yeah, don't change the subject. It's too late. It's too late. You put us on the path of no return.
The 3 Brits is on the tennis podcast.
Wait, so Brenda, you saying it's a tennis channel on YouTube which has 3 British people? You're talking about the week? Are you talking about the weekly tennis podcast? They don't go to 30 events, do they? Tennis weekly podcast. They don't do commentary either. They just have a weekly podcast. They were there at Wimbledon, but I don't think they went to Boodles either. Let me have a look. They went to Eastbourne, from what I can see. They went to Eastbourne and Queens. Yes, they went to Eastbourne and Queens, and that's it, I think. Maybe they went to the Argentina Open. There's another one with 3 bits. Oh, is there? What's the what's whoa. Okay. So it's not British podcast, tennis podcast. Oh, we're 3 Brits. Really? How do I not know about this? Oh, you're talking about the tennis podcast. No, it's not them. He said it's not them. The tennis podcast. And obviously they're a podcast. We've almost got as many subscribers as them, but they've only got 93 videos on YouTube because they weren't on YouTube before. But obviously that they're gonna have more subscribers, right? They're like the number 1 tennis podcast in the world. Yeah. Damn. I feel like Brendan said 3 Brits, but I don't know. Was that in the specification from Sport and Politics? We've been diverted. Oh no. Oh no. Oh, I'm never going to be able to find them. Wait, hold on. You know what the best thing to do is? Just go on to the. If I just go on to the British podcast rankings for tennis, and I'm just going to. Yeah, the problem is that he's saying it's a YouTube channel though. I don't know. Mini break, not a Brit. Spawn Politics, where have you gone? He's left. he's basically just like left us in chaos. And
Just jump ship.
he's like dropped a bomb and just left. Mate. Can't do this. Okay,
Did you go to the final?
Right, let's have a look. Let's have a look. Okay. No, no. What's happening? Tennis Unfiltered. Oh, who are those guys? Tennis Unfiltered. I've heard of them, but Unfiltered. Let's have a look.
Oh, I think James Gray goes on that.
Oh yeah, he does. Yeah, mate. Fair enough. Well, they haven't posted in like 4 months. Maybe they just don't post on YouTube anymore. But yeah, James Gray. It might be him then, maybe, because he's. I'd imagine he goes to a lot of events.
Doesn't do play-by-play, no?
But it is 3 guys though.
Well, we might have to take the L.
All right. Okay,
It's a sleepless night ahead of us.
mate. I'm gonna be thinking about this all night. Who are these people? It's just like, I feel like I know everyone in the tennis sphere, like English speaking. So I just don't know who these people are. But maybe they've got like 3 guys and 1 travels all over. That's James Gray. Yeah, that's Tennis Unfiltered. But I mean, he doesn't do the stuff that, or their channel doesn't do the stuff that Sports and Politics was talking about. Sport and Politics was talking about. It's fine. He's gone. He's gone. And he's laughing at us. Can't believe it. Anyways, sorry for boring you guys for the last 15 minutes. Also, we try and find a channel that one guy talked about, but it's completely irrelevant to this whole channel. But this live chat, anyways, there are no more questions, so we thought, why not? Cool. Okay, thanks, Ash, for jumping on. Appreciate it, guys. Have a good evening. I hope you enjoyed this Q&A, and I always enjoy doing Q&As with you guys, and I hope you guys enjoy them too. I'd like to make them a bit more regular, but it is what it is. If the demand is there and you guys want it, then we will do it. But I don't want to make them redundant and then you guys get bored of them. So maybe we'll do, like, I know obviously Gilgross has some sort of like mailbag, but it's recorded. But we don't really call it a mailbag here. What do we call it? Just Q&A, I guess, in the UK. But yeah, we could do something like that now and then, once a month or something. I'd like to do it. We'll see. Cool. Thanks very much, guys. Stay safe and well. We'll see you on the next stream, video, whatever else it might be. See you in the comment section, and make sure to check out our interviews from Wimbledon on the Tennis Interviews playlist. And of course, we also put out our podcast, which was recorded at Wimbledon on site post match for Djokovic Alcaraz. So, yeah, Djokovic Alcaraz. We literally just come out of the Alcaraz press conference and recorded it. So definitely worth a listen, because our thoughts are fresh in our mind in that podcast. So yeah, enjoy. Thanks, guys.